Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody's having a great night. Welcome to the RantCastPodcast. I am Josh, also known as The Strange Bus. You can catch me at twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. That is twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. Hopefully my audio is fixed a little bit here. I'm going to be bringing on Kurgan, our other host for tonight. You can catch him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest That is twitch.tv/HeroQuest Kurgan, you're on.
RantCast.
We're starting to learn a little bit. Anyway, before we get started here, do I have to let people know the music is provided by Karl Casey at White Bat Audio. If you'd like to use any of the music for your own projects, you can find him on YouTube at Karl Casey, or you can search up White Bat Audio. You can also donate to his Bandcamp there. It's karlcasey.bandcamp.com. Welcome, everybody. Rob Champ, Ribby, everybody. Do we have a cast for you?
27. Hey, guys. Hey, Josh.
Hi.
You've been out riding the bus, and here you are, ready for some rants.
I did ride the bus. I rode the bus once this week. I actually got to stream a little bit. I streamed a game called Zoocosis. It was actually a pretty cheesy horror indie title for Boo Fest. I did one Boo Fest thing. I'm probably going to do another. Hopefully, if I can stay awake tonight, I'll probably do another. But
proud of you, man.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun. If you guys ever get a chance to catch it. It's pretty cheesy, but it's fun. Yeah, it's about animals. Like take care of like a zoo of animals, but if they get sick or something, they like mutate into horrible monsters and like come after you.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh my. I also brought gifts, but I don't think the stream can have them. It's my food. But it's my wife brought me fast food Italian, which
this isn't going to be one of those mukbang streams, is it?
No, but you might see me eat a breadstick and some pasta because I didn't get a chance to eat dinner today. So,
all right.
I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna make a meme out of it though.
Yeah. If you ever run for office, it's like, dang, it all started right here.
That strange bus guy puts whole breadsticks in his mouth.
Yep. Doesn't chew them at all. Just swallows it straight down. Amazing. It's got my vote. Sorry, I'm gonna make you like you got the spit bucket there by your feet, just in case.
Oh yeah. Anyway, episode 54, right? I got this right.
Oh yeah.
Did I totally screw up the title card? Yay.
Ooh.
We've got looks like we've got RantCast Power Hours.
Oh man.
Got the recap with Lucapaschi. Looks like First Light was spoiled, right?
I mean, it's technically been spoiled, but it's being spoiled even more, if you can believe it. So.
Oh boy, ruined for all, huh?
Yep. I mean, I see it as a positive thing. I see it as you're getting more of a preview of what's in the box. What's in the box? So you can make up your mind whether you want to spend the money. Because I kind of feel like, well, I'll be getting into it here. I almost kind of feel like maybe they've got some self-doubt and they're maybe letting this happen on purpose because they want people to see maybe more than. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, but it's almost like they're like, whoops, I just dropped this in front of you. Don't look at it.
Don't mind while I bend over to pick it up.
Yeah. Oh no. Got an eyeful.
And then with Lucapaschi, we have the English interview where we're talking about the Lost quest packs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to get it to come up on my screen. Do you want to pull it up there in the picture-in-picture? I mean, I'm not gonna just have us just play the entire video just to because you can watch it on XSC3 Home of HeroQuest fans.
Yeah. What do you want pulled up for this?
If you could just pull up
Is there a
the
timestamp?
YouTube video. Yeah, let me pull it up on my side here.
Right now, I've just got this, and I'll
Yeah,
switch it over. Ka-chow.
yeah. Big thanks to Lucapaschi. So Lucapaschi. I say his name wrong. I've said it wrong for so long. I
Oh
like
man, yeah.
hard to Pasky. Okay, so it's gonna be 24 minutes and 44 seconds timestamp if you want.
24:44.
Yeah. I mean, basically any of these images, because I'm just kind of throwing these up as we're talking. It's like I'm puking them up. No, not really. But yeah, he was a really nice guy to talk to. Um, the whole deal was, see, his project has been covered before by other people, but this was kind of the first time that I really had gotten to talk to him. Where it wasn't just forum posts or emails. So he had gathered together some people from the community because here is a fan who was able to get his hands on copies of basically really old Milton Bradley drafts of unreleased HeroQuest stuff. It was like, whoa. It's like we knew this stuff existed because other websites had like talked about it, but it was kind of just like, oh, too bad we'll never see this. The Dwarf Quest pack and the Wizard Quest pack will never be made. There were photos of like they call them 3-ups and 4-ups. So like when they make a miniatures game, some people already know this. They make like a larger version, like almost like a plastic statue, and then they shrink it down into the 28 millimeter figures, and that they mold the plastic out of and everything at the factory. So it's like those statues were out there, like people had them because the project was canceled. HeroQuest was taken off the market sometime in the mid 90s, and people just took them home, and like a lot of these like things just got thrown away or destroyed. I mean, a lot of copies of the Barbarian and Elf Quest packs were destroyed because they were unsold. The company just was done with everything. And then we know the story about the copyright, the IP just kind of like went away. The HeroQuest name was being used by another company, Chaosium, doing their Glorantha RPG. It was called HeroQuest, but if you look at it, it's nothing like HeroQuest. It's just the title. And then Games Workshop, of course, kept on making their Warhammer models, and then they were making Warhammer Quest for a while, but it was a very different game. It wasn't the HeroQuest that you and I remember. But anyway, Lucapaschi was looking online, and he talks in the interview. It's really fun to hear him talk about it because like he was just on eBay and he saw somebody selling this just big sheaf of documents, and he kind of realized what it was, and it was like, oh, I want to try to get this. And he's admitted that like there's a lot of people out there that scam or just don't know what they've got, and they'll say, oh yeah, this ultra rare, one of a kind, and it's just somebody photocopied their copy of HeroQuest. It's like that's not worth anything, but this was like very unique. So once he realized what he had, it was like, okay, I got to scan all this digitally. I'm going to share it with a small group of people. Can this be used for something? Can we use this as some type of like fan project? And he got into his mind. You can move forward a little bit with it if you want. There,
Hey, what am
while
I
my
looking
video.
at?
Yeah. So this is just a snippet of some of the text. So it's all like this. It's like lots and lots of typewritten pages because this was old school. This was like 1992, 93. There's comments, so you can see comments from the editors about like what the stuff was about, what they were trying to develop. But he got he got in contact with one of the authors from back in the day who did the Elf Quest pack. Some people were mad because they were like, "Oh yeah, Avalon Hill should like bring her back on, Catherine L. Connors. They should bring her back on and have her like update the quests." And they did like the fans did an interview with her, and she was just like, "Yeah, they never contacted me, or I asked, and they said, well, we don't really need you." And so it was kind of like a snub. Like, oh, that kind of sucks. So some fans got together and like they just bought a copy of the new game and just like sent it to her as a gift. And she autographed Lucapaschi's vintage copy of Mage of the Mirror. But that was just kind of a side story. We didn't really talk about that, but that was just another background thing.
That's
But
nice
anyway,
though. It's very nice.
yeah. So with these notes, they were able to figure out that okay, so the barbarian and elf quest packs that I played on our stream on HeroQuest fans, and you played some of it with us. You remember how kind of overwhelmingly difficult they were. I mean, I pulled out all the stops
Yep.
to kind of like
That
help
frozen
you guys
horror.
along. Yeah,
You can
the
definitely
Xanon
see.
Pass. Yeah, and yeah, Hispazargon did these calculations. He came up with his own system of like kind of looking at the relative difficulty of each of these quest packs, and yeah, you can tell it just jumps up. So when we played some of these expansions, it was like a solo quest. It's supposed to be Zargon versus one hero, which is crazy because that's not how the original game was played. It was always 4 heroes. So even if it was just like me on one side of the board and you on the other, like I at least had 4 lives, you know? Like, oh, you killed the wizard. Well, I still got the elf and the dwarf and the barbarian. Oh, you killed. Well, I got one guy through, so I won. You know, it's a totally different feel than if I just have one guy, because you can surround me and beat me down, and if I don't have healing, well, you know, he's dead. That's it. As
Just
opposed to
to
well,
just to interject here real quick. Um,
yeah, yeah,
my first real exposure to HeroQuest, to anybody who doesn't know, was the Frozen Horror. And how many times did we retry that first? I'm pretty sure
3 times.
it was like 3 times before I got it down, right? Like at
Yep,
least
yep.
got made any progress. Yeah. Okay.
And I finally basically decided at that point, because looking back, what I could have done is just gone through all the quests, probably just, you know, printed out a copy of the quest book and just, you know, go through and just delete a third of the monsters, delete a third of the traps, or maybe even half. But instead of doing all that, I was like, I just want to experience this because this was not something that I ever played back in the day. We didn't have it. We didn't own it. We knew it existed because there was a little flyer inside the box that said, "Oh, you can order other quest packs." And I guess a lot of kids like did that. Like after a year, you know, they played everything. They sent their money in, and then it just bounced right back. And Hasbro's like, sorry, we don't produce this anymore." And so there's all these rejection letters out there. But some people did get it, but yeah, it's considered like a rare collector's item. But anyway, yeah, when they re-released it, Avalon Hill was still in that mode of the fans want it untouched. They want it exactly how it was back in the 90s. Just refresh the materials and, you know, remove any Games Workshop copyrighted stuff that we don't have access to. But otherwise, just release it as is. Same game mechanics. Everything's exactly as it was. And people were playing it like we were and realizing this is absurd. So I ended up taking those solo quests and turning them into group quests and just saying, okay, fine, let's get PSK and his friend Blue Star in here, and let's you know, with Strange Bus, and let's get, you know, 3 or 4 heroes at a time into these quests. And then they were fun because you weren't like fighting for every inch and just getting killed like every other battle because you got one bad roll or something like that, because those yetis would grab you and you basically couldn't get out of it in the original version.
Yeah,
Now in
that
the
was a
draft,
mess. Those Yetis
that was
were
it. Yeah. So,
infuriating.
so I had the drafts thanks to Lucapaschi. I had the draft notes in front of me when we were playing, so I could refer to them to see like, did they have some other ideas of how this could go? Because that was something we discovered, is that they basically were in a huge crunch at the end of HeroQuest's lifespan. So those expansions you saw coming out in 1992, those were rushed. There was like a lot of like further notes that they would have used that they just didn't even include. So like the Yetis, basically, if they damage you, you're just trapped, and somebody else has to save you. But if you're by yourself, there's nothing you can do. Well, in the original, there was a mechanic to escape from it. So there was stuff like that. So I will say though that the Elf Quest pack was way harder originally. Like they kept like knocking her difficulty down, like saying like, listen, you've got ogres in the first quest. That's too much. These 10 body point monsters. Let's just replace those with Famir. They only have 2 body points. So you could see they were knocking the difficulty down. And still, with the remake of Mage of the Mirror, Avalon Hill today was realizing, well, a couple years ago now, they were realizing, okay, fans actually wanted it to be a little more balanced. So they did knock down the ogre body points. They gave you a few extra potions, a little extra gold. They didn't totally fix it, but they realized that, hey, it is okay to like touch it, and refine it a little bit. So by the time we got to like against the ogre horde, they were making all kinds of like editorial changes, and I think most of them for the better. Some of them are a little questionable, like, okay, well, does this really make sense that they did it this way? But with these classic quest packs, it's always easy because you have the original scans online. So if people want to go back to the way it was, they can easily just homebrew it, because that's the nature of the game. You don't have to hack it like a computer game, revert the patch that you don't like. So my interest in the project was actually more with the history of the HeroQuest stuff, the drafts, the old screenplays of your favorite movie kind of thing, because I was trying to like improve it and just seeing, well, what were some of those ideas they didn't use. And of course, I was super curious because I felt like some of these things sound familiar. Like Avalon Hill has these notes, and I remember Carmine saying, "We have everything. We have the right to everything." So as far as he was concerned, any of that stuff could be used in future quest packs, and I think some of it has been. It's just that they never committed to saying, "Okay, we're going to release this," because one, there's no nostalgia for it. It was never released. Okay, it's like everybody pretty much knew that they had a plan to release 4 new expansions, one for each of the 4 heroes, and each one would focus on that hero and like their land and lore, and they would have special potions and special artifacts just for that one hero. So the idea was you convince kids to like buy 4 different expansions and put them all together, so you have the ultimate team, and then the ultimate challenge. Well, it never got completed. Anyway, Lucapaschi's idea was, he's like, well, why don't we just, because he was seeing like these quest packs were unfinished, but what if we finished them and released them? So he came up with a plan to say, okay, we're going to pool our resources as hardcore fans on Yield In forums, and just see like, okay, can we get these, good quality versions of each of these quests, refine the mechanics, go through the drafts, pick and choose like the best things. And at some point you have to kind of make it up because there's like a gap. Like it doesn't quite make sense. Like, well, where was this going to go? So you just come up with something based on what sounds like they would have done back in the 90s, because they weren't going to make it based on like the modern HeroQuest. This is going to be like classic HeroQuest, like 1990 HeroQuest. So based on the North American rules. But he was showing me the progress they had made, because I'm part of their discussion group basically. So I follow it. I've made some small contributions, but I mean most of the work's been done by other people. Like people have done play testing. People have done like artwork. Because think about it, HeroQuest is it's basically just a bunch of graphs and a bunch of text, because the artwork you can't use because it's either owned by Hasbro or it's owned by the freelance artists that they hired back in the day, who have not given permission for their stuff to be used. So instead of just like using AI or something, they actually paid like independent modern artists to create artwork kind of in similar style to like what would have existed back then. So yes, they did have the 3D models, but they modified them, and then of course made them in the proper scale. So there, right now, you're looking at the Rat Man, not the Skaven, but the Rat Man. And this is from the Wizard Quest pack. So the Wizard Quest pack, similar to the the official expansions you've seen before, the Wizard was going to have 3 solo quests where he builds up his powers. There's unique artifacts and potions just for him. He has new spells, and there's going to be new monsters, new bad guys, new tiles. But seeing it in physical form is so cool, because it's like you've got these concepts, and then actually seeing, somebody had printed it out. So someday This is the goal. Someday you're going to be able to just go online for free and just download the PDFs of all the documents, and you can print them out if you want to. And the 3D models will be released for free. So they'll just be STLs. If you got a 3D printer, you can print them yourself. Or if you don't want to, you could use, any miniatures you've got, any generic miniatures. This is the saber-tooth snow tiger, which this is so if people remember more recently, the expansion Jungles of Delthrak has a character. It's an animal ally called Saberfang, and Saberfang is like a saber-toothed tiger, like a white tiger. And so it's like, okay, so that to me says clearly Hasbro's looking through the drafts and they're saying, yeah, we're not going to release the Wizard Quest pack, but we're going to use this concept from the Wizard Quest pack to inspire a new thing. Because the Wizard Quest pack version of this animal has completely different stats. Basically, it can attack 3 times. And they had a whole mechanic for how multiple attacks work. So in the base game, you've got all these situations where you can make 2 attacks in HeroQuest, right? So there's like Heroic Brew, you can attack a monster twice. Orc's Bane, you can attack an orc twice. But it doesn't really explain how does that work. Like when we played it back in the day, it was like, oh, you roll your attack, the monster defends. You roll your attack again, the monster defends. So it's just like you're just trying it again. But what eventually came about was this idea that, oh no, you attack the same person twice, they get to defend once, and the other is like a free hit. And Avalon Hill kind of modified it a little bit and said, well, okay, that seems pretty tough, pretty rough. So you roll twice, and then the victim who's rolling defense can decide, well, which one do you want to roll against, the really good roll they had or the really bad one? So you pick your poison there. Well, the original draft idea, which never made it into retail release, was actually if you stack multiple attacks against one character, that character gets to defend once at the end. So like if let's say, okay, we'll use the Polar Warbear as an example because that's something people know. Normally that monster rolls 4 dice to attack, but he could attack the same hero twice. So instead of just like hitting one hero over here and hitting another hero over here, he hits the same guy twice. So instead of like doing 4 dice, he gets to defend 4 dice, it's unblockable. It would be 8 dice, and then the defender rolls once. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, here you have the snow tiger is attacking 3 times. So you really want to take out a certain monster, you just lay all 3 attacks against that one character. But it's also cool because he could just get into the midst of a bunch of monsters and just attack 3 different ones. But I think that was a really cool idea because the wizard is, of course, classically like the weakest of the heroes. I mean, he's got these awesome spells, but each spell is only usable once. But if he has like this animal that can help him out, that's kind of a cool idea. So Avalon Hill adopted that idea in the modern HeroQuest. So I think that was a really cool idea. But just the idea of being able to play these kind of like the whole idea is it's a reconstruction. This is not an official project. This is not a product that's going to be sold. The idea is you could play something as if it would have been finished in 1993. So the whole idea was to go off of that sort of that feeling of authenticity. So they admit it's not going to be perfectly balanced. It's not going to be maybe as modern feeling and fresh as like the Avalon Hill stuff. So this is not going to compete with, Rise of the Dread Moon or anything like that. Now, then there was always the thought, well, what if Hasbro turns around and actually does release these? Because they see, like Doug was saying, Doug Hopkins at Gen Con, hey, if you want this, you should say it on social media. Say it loud, say it enough. Maybe they'll approve it and we'll do it. You'll find out 18 months later. So in this video, like Lucapaschi was showing me pictures. You can see these are mock-ups. So the one that you see at the bottom, the Barbarian Quest pack, that's what the actual 1992 box looked like. Very few people have these. Elf Quest pack, that's probably going to cost you like $1,000 or more if you want to try to buy that on eBay today, like complete. So those are vintage. But then the one on the top, the Wizard Quest pack, that's just a fake made by fans. That copyright date, that's not real. That logo, that's just made up. Even the UPC is fake.
You can kind of
But it's all
tell because
yeah,
the two look older and the box on the
yeah,
top looks a lot newer.
yeah. Just printed at somebody's house. It's like brand new. But the
But it
idea
is very
is
good work. Very good work.
now my concern was, and I brought this up to Lucapaschi a few times on the video because I wanted to just get him on camera, basically talking about what everybody's worried about, which is what's to stop some unscrupulous people from, once you release this, just printing it, selling it, pretending this is like a real, ultra rare, vintage Wizard Quest pack. Because it says right on there, 1993, Milton Bradley. And he's like, well, first of all, they're not going to sell it because they're not stupid. I mean, they would get shut down like so fast because you're basically at that point, you're making like a bootleg, a fake product that, yeah, they could just see into you like that. So anybody that was dumb enough to put that stuff on would be probably shut down by Hasbro themselves. But the other thing is, if Hasbro looked the other way and didn't do anything about it, it's not just the fact that you have the fans in the community like giving you, putting pressure on you saying, "Hey, don't be a dick, don't sell this, don't rip people off." But also that artwork belongs to certain people who could give them takedown notices and say, "Hey, that's my art that they're selling without permission," you know, because it's not like, somebody did this like 40 years ago. These are like modern people that have done that. That artwork you see belongs to somebody, and they specifically said it's for this project, it's for personal use, it's for free, it's not to be resold. So they might have some grounds to take it down. So that to me is kind of good. So it's just like a freeware thing. They put it out there. And that's the other deal is because there have been plenty of, I mean, we've talked about the whole D&D OGL thing and all the crap storm that was. The idea with HeroQuest products is you can create and sell your own HeroQuest products. You don't need permission from Hasbro. But the deal is you can't promote it in any way that looks like it's an official product. It has to be like you change the name to something else. It's just HeroQuest compatible. It's unofficial. You got all the disclaimers everywhere. Then you can do it. And as long as you're not like ripping off somebody else's art, you're probably fine. That's how it's been in practice. They haven't been heavy-handed with it, which is great. Now there have been some people that somebody made like I want to say it was like Labyrinth HeroQuest with like David Bowie, and somebody just like copied it and sold it. And it's like, okay, first of all, whoever owns the rights to the Labyrinth movie is going to come after you. I don't know what studio that is, or the estate of David Bowie is going to come after you, and Hasbro's
Might
going to
be
come after you.
Warner Brothers, I think, isn't it?
Warner
Paramount
Brothers, yeah,
Pictures.
maybe. I don't remember. It's been a long time. Jennifer Connelly was in that back in the day. Yeah, so yeah, there's some people that just don't have a clue, and so there's always going to be shady people out there. But I think for the most part, if we the fans like educate people on what this is, like, hey, this is a what if, this is a what might have been, this is like taking like one of the lost script drafts of Star Wars that was never made into a movie and just dressing it up a little bit and just putting it out there for free.
So my question is
Hmm.
if we are you guys you're not afraid of this project getting shut down because of that sort of
Oh,
thing? Because of people
I
getting it because it is distributed for free, but like people picking it up and like selling to the ignorant, going, "Oh, this is like the lost such and such. I'm gonna sell this for like $1,000."
yeah, it's a risk, but the whole,
Okay.
I guess, the gamble that Lucapaschi is taking with it, because I don't think any of us are legal experts. I don't know if he's consulted a copyright lawyer on this or anything, but I mean, he might have to. I hope he doesn't get in trouble. But the idea is, if you put it out there for free, it's not your fault if somebody else grabs it and tries to sell it,
No,
right?
that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is, um, So the whole point is to bring these projects to life for people to use, right? It's not
Yeah,
to make a profit or anything. So
you print it
um,
out, play it at home with your friends.
I'm not worried about him getting in trouble. What keeps us from getting C and D like the whole project? Because it looks like they're recreating the whole thing, right? They're putting the excuse
Yep.
me, they're putting the the copyright logos down. They're putting the the HeroQuest name on it. They're putting they're trying to trying to make it very very accurate, and that's great. I like I like that, but like I said, what keeps the you know are we worried that that might happen because you get people who pick this up and then try to redistribute it? Because I feel like Hasbro wouldn't care if it was him. It was just the fact that people would be picking it up and then try to resell it.
Yeah. Well, that is a risk, and I suppose if it became a big enough problem, they might be forced to confront it. It makes me think of again the D&D OGL thing. Like enough people have skin in the game, maybe it would go to court and maybe it would force some type of decision. I hope not. I hope it wouldn't create problems for the HeroQuest fans community generally. Now, Bohemius has a good comment. He's saying no because they made thousands of fan made stuff in the last 30 years with same features, logos, cards, graphics. But I
Okay.
guess my thing with that is a lot of us have talked about before on the Rantcast, not necessarily when you were here, Strange Bus, but in the past we've talked about the fact that Yield In has archived that stuff for a long, long time. So there's like scans of old quest books and things,
Okay.
magazine articles and stuff. If they wanted to, theoretically, if they wanted to, Hasbro could just get their lawyers together and be like, shut that whole thing down. You got to wipe it clean. All that stuff belongs to us and you can't have it. They could, but they haven't. So the question is, would they be forced to do that if it became a problem? Like if a lot of people were trying to sell it and people were making complaints and it was coming back on them because they got to protect their brand, right? If a lot of people are blaming Hasbro for something and it's like this isn't ours, this isn't what, this is just some fans doing some stuff.
Yeah, right. It's just a question. Like I said,
Yeah.
mostly because of the like you said the name. I wouldn't be worried about it. It's like when we are laying the you know when you're literally down to like the copyright logo and everything like that. That's where I was kind of
Well,
like, and that's
the,
more
the
just out of curiosity. I don't know how
I
particular
my
the company is, but I have seen them do some.
yeah.
Me and you both have been on this podcast about Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro and all that other crap.
Yep.
So
They've been crappy in the past, but so far there's been this halo over the HeroQuest franchise. They've been pretty good about it. Yes, they did after they bought out the share from Chaosium and Game Zone. They were just like, look, you can make HeroQuest 25th Anniversary Edition. You just can't call it that. You got to call it something else. So they called it SueQuest. So that
mhm.
that that name change was forced legally to say nope. You got to make it clear it's a separate product. Sunday Quest Adventures used to be called HeroQuest Adventures. That guy, I guess, was contacted by Hasbro and they said, "Look, you can change the name to something else, make it clear it's not our product, and you can keep selling it." So he did. So Sunday Quest Adventures is really popular. People like it. Axion makes a deck of like randomly generated HeroQuest stuff. It's HeroQuest compatible. It's called something else. There's all kinds of like projects out there. But yeah, he's right. It's not a modern thing. You have all these fan-made quests that were originally distributed like in fanzines. So like people would basically publish their own magazines and like distribute them, really small distribution runs.
Mhm.
And it was kind of like a gray area, but it's like fan fiction. There were official magazines that published official or quasi-official HeroQuest material. So you had White Dwarf magazine. It was no problem because that's Games Workshop. That's one of the companies that was
So
involved in
he
HeroQuest.
can distribute this with
Yeah.
the HeroQuest name as long as it's not being sold for profit. Then, right?
We think so. We think so.
Okay.
But see that's the deal. Like I'm not in charge of this project. I'm not in charge of this project. I mean, I basically have given my advice. I've given feedback. But if it were me, I would probably take all those fake copyright notices off of there. I get what they're trying to say. Where they're trying to say is, look, we're putting this out there, but we know it originally belonged to Hasbro. Like it's not our original creation. But if they put that logo on there, that sort of sends the message that it is a real product. So you're basically saying, hey, I'm pirating this product
Oh,
that doesn't exist. You know what I
that's why
mean?
I
It's
was bringing
confusing.
up. That's why I brought up that question is because like we literally have it
Fair
down to
question.
like the copyright logo,
Yeah.
and
Well, because
that's why I was worried.
yeah, and maybe that's because this hasn't been released yet, so maybe that's one thing that they should do if they're smart about it. And I'm sure Lucapaschi has probably heard that before, and I hope maybe he makes the wisest decision on that. Because here's the deal: if they were forced to, they could release this not as HeroQuest, but as LucaQuest or FanQuest or something. But then the problem is the storyline is still based on something that was written by somebody at Hasbro once upon a time that no longer works for the company, and they're no longer. I mean, they never sold the product. It's like unpublished, but
Could
it's
you
still
just
like
call it? Could you just call it the Lost Pack Restoration Project?
you could call it that. Yeah, you could give it some new name. But then the question is, would they be required to go in and change it even more? Transform it into something completely different? Because I'm pretty sure if you open up like Sunday Quest, like you'll see pictures of the original miniatures. You'll see the original board. You'll see the word HeroQuest mentioned over and over and over again. It's obvious. It's 100% obvious what you've got in your hands. It's just that the cover is telling you, hey, disclaimer, this is a fan made thing. This is not official. If you want the real HeroQuest, go somewhere else. So they might have to, all these beautiful covers they got, they might have to change that. Just a thought. So yeah, it's kind of a gray area. But yeah, if I'm just thinking with the old stuff, I mean, it would suck. It would really offend a lot of fans. They would be really upset. There'd be a big backlash if Hasbro put their foot down and took down all the stuff from Yielden, and they took down all the fan projects and said, yeah, I know this was good for 30 years, but you can't have it anymore. And a lot of people would be pissed. A lot of people would distribute it anyway, just like you have people who pirate stuff now anyway, because it's like there's no other way to get it, and you're not putting it out. You're being a jerk as a company. Yes, you have the legal right, but you're pissing us off, so we're just going to do it anyway. You would definitely have that. But
Right.
what it would do is it would make the potential audience would shrink to almost nothing, because without that publicity, when you have the sanction of the company against it, of course, it's kind of like they talk about the Streisand effect, where it's like the more you try to cover it up, the more people get interested. Like, wait, what was this thing I wasn't supposed to see? Let me check it out. And like, oh
Yeah.
man. So they might be like, okay, we just won't pay any attention to it. But I mean, if they let's say they did send a C&D email to Lucapaschi. What if he posted that online and like thousands of people saw it? Maybe that would, cause some kind of ruckus. I don't know. But as far as I know, so far, nobody's come after him. He's been very careful to say, like, we're not trying to infringe on anybody's rights. We're not trying to fool anybody. But yes, we all kind of know it in our heart that somebody will probably try to uh, rip somebody off with it. Just like you have people right now who are 3D printing like entire quest packs from the 90s and selling them on Etsy. Like
Yeah.
sell just like they have tens of thousands of copies that they're selling. And it's like, okay, any second now they're gonna get a letter from somebody saying, okay, you shut this down or you're getting sued. Let's see. One of the rules of the Hero Quest written in the rule book: write your own adventure and have fun. Yes, exactly. But it was different back in the day, I think, Bohemius, because back then you would have these fanzines, and that's the weird part. That's the part that kind of gets me, because if I sell you a magazine for, I don't even remember how much magazines were back then, $5 in the golden age. You paid $5 for my magazine, but inside the magazine I wrote a HeroQuest quest that I just wrote. So I'm actually selling you a quest that I used um, Games Workshop and Milton Bradley's IP. I did it, but it's like, okay, that quest isn't worth anything unless you already own the product. But you know what I'm saying? It's almost like you. But since those magazines have been out of print for so long, Now we don't have them anymore. It's just a scan of the magazine that somebody put on a website that you can download. So you could print it off yourself and play it for free, and nobody's like losing a sale because it's free. So yeah, there's some gray areas there. One thing that I have witnessed is you have these websites that will print like playing cards for you. So like Board Games Maker is a site that appeals to a lot of like really small time indie game developers, board game developers. Or if you want to like prototype your game, it's really easy. And I know it sounds like an advertisement for it. I've used them before myself. So like let's say I wanted to print out a board for myself. So like the board you see on my streams, I printed that out through their service. Some people have told stories about how they've gone there and they did it in kind of a stupid way. So they put like a fake copyright notice on their homebrew HeroQuest project. They sent it to Board Games Maker, and Board Games Maker's like, "We're not printing this because it's copyrighted, and you're not the copyright holder. So, screw off, basically." Which is their right. Why would I want to get myself in trouble? Uh, basically facilitating piracy. But the problem is, like, they're not even pirated works. It's like somebody had just made up their own brand new HeroQuest thing from scratch, and they just put because they wanted it to match their old cards that say, copyright 1992 Milton Bradley. They printed that on their homebrew card. And so I always tell people, like, look, make your homebrew cards. That's awesome. Print them out professionally. That's great. But don't put a copyright notice, because what you're doing is you're basically telling them, don't print this. So it's silly. So with this, they might have to remove all that. They might just have to put some generic disclaimer somewhere saying this is an unofficial product. The problem is, I mean, even Hasbro themselves don't do this. Like when you open up the box of HeroQuest, like, yeah, every single card says um, copyright 2022 Hasbro Incorporated. But not every tile says it. Not every piece of plastic in the box says it. So you could take the stuff out of the set and you could mix it in somewhere else, and how would they ever know? Unless somebody's watching carefully, like, hey, wait a minute, that looks like HeroQuest that you're passing off as your own work. So yeah, I don't know. There's some gray areas. So I just hope that before the final release and everything, because this could be very big, maybe he brushes up on his legal information to just protect himself. But I asked that in the interview, basically, just like, how are you going to protect yourself from people who would, misuse this or do something stupid with it?
So to reply to Bohemius here, um,
Yeah, good comments
you
there.
you and you and Kurgan were both, looks like you both were at this interview. I trust in both of you guys, because I got to, like I said, I kind of go through the your videos like bit by bit recently, because like I said, with the holidays and everything, I haven't been able to, let
Yeah,
alone
and
catch up on my own content, or sit down and have a moment's time unless it's in the middle of the night. I don't want to fall asleep. But from what I've caught and from what you guys have probably seen, I don't disagree with that. Like I said, I'm on your guys' side when it comes to stuff like this, because I wish there were people in the video game community who did stuff like this more often. I mean, they still do, but like not
passion project. I mean,
as yeah, not as passionately as they used to. It's
mhm,
very rare anymore. It still happens, but it's very rare. And somebody who'd pour this amount of money and time, because this is physical. This isn't digital. This is a physical, um,
yeah,
this is a physical product. Um,
mm,
I haven't even watched the whole full video, but I have seen some of this guy's videos, and like, to know how dedicated he is. Um, I
yeah.
hope this goes off without a hitch. The thing
Thanks. Yeah.
is, is I, you and I, Kurgan,
Mhm,
with how long we've been on this earth, both know that, like, I don't know about you, but I don't, and everybody here in this Rantcast knows now my standing on companies, especially Hasbro, any real big companies. Um,
mhm.
Now, like I said, Avalon Hill to me is another story, but like,
Yep. Agreed.
um, I just I hope that he doesn't have any real big like hills to climb with this, or doesn't immediately get shut down. And like I said, I don't personally think so, but that doesn't mean it's not gonna be in the back of my head, and I won't ask those questions because I always ask those questions. You know,
Yeah.
that's something that's always gonna get asked, because it's I've just been, I don't know, maybe it's maybe it's just happened too much or what. Um,
Yeah. Well,
and
uh,
like that's fine, Bohemius. It's just once again, uh,
mm,
coming from a company perspective. Um, like I said, maybe it won't. Maybe they don't. Just won't care because it's not something like it's not a powerhouse product for them.
mm,
Not trying to insult HeroQuest in any way because like I said, I
no,
think HeroQuest has been popping
come on.
off recently, but like it's not like something they own so many different products, but like it's not like the Star Wars figures that they sell by the thousands or whatever.
Yeah. Or Magic
Um,
the Gathering or D&D.
yeah, or whatever. Yeah, like that's.
Not their bread and
But
butter. It's a smaller
so
smaller product. Yeah.
maybe it's something they'll you know let go, but anything that interferes with their market share or market value, it's going to catch eyes. So if this flies over the radar, I'll be happy, you know. um, and it'll be nice to see somebody who put a lot of work not have a problem with something
Yeah.
like this. So because did he answer any of those questions?
Yeah, he did his best. He was very confident that um, they're going to be okay, like legally, to do this. Because think about how it could go. Like, what if they opened up a factory, and what if they started mass producing this? Like, that would not go over, right? That would
Mm-hmm.
not. That would be shut down. Like, we know there's bootleg products out there. I mean, there's tons of stuff coming out of China, a lot of it, where it's just a blatant ripoff, and companies do fight that, because it makes them look bad. You buy the transformer and it falls apart. And you're like, wow, Hasbro sucks, and it's like, hey, that wasn't us. That was these bootleggers over here. So that hurts their reputation. So they try to shut those guys down. And once in a while, maybe a fan creates something that kind of maybe they did it better. That's rare, but yeah, they did it better, and so it makes them look bad. So I mean, what I said to him was, I thought, well, the way I see it is, if they did step in and shut this whole thing down, I would hope that the next thing that we would hear would be, and because we're releasing our own Wizard Quest pack, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like, there it is. Like, okay, well, we've got it now.
Well, if it's one thing I would rather hear is you'd get the notice from Avalon Hill and not from Hasbro, and that it would be something like that, yeah, because I
Yeah,
think the C&D would come from much a much more understanding view, like, hey, yeah, we're gonna be
yeah,
releasing it
no
ourselves, but
Pinkerton. But the fear that I have is that I think legally these companies don't have to do that. Like, they could just say, "Yeah, we're shutting you down," and nobody gets anything. Like, we just take
oh
our
yeah,
ball
no,
and we'll go home.
that's true,
Yeah.
and it's but you could get the Resident Evil 2 story, like with the people who were trying to make a fan project for Resident Evil 2, and they were doing like a third person. They had multiple camera angles. You could do above, third person, and it was going to be done in like a whole different game engine. And then Capcom was like, "Hey, we're doing our own on the Hush Hush. You're getting C&D, but would you like a job?" Like brought the
Yeah,
people over to work on the new
yeah.
one. But
They
Joe thinks
squashed
that it should be
damage.
sold for the cost of the materials. Now I'm asking a question because I want to make sure
Uh,
this is a free. This is going to be free, right? You said it was free.
I mean, it's totally free. Now,
That's that is amazing, by the way.
lots of
Considering
people have come to. Yeah, yeah.
go
So,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, you say your thing, and I'll.
No, go ahead, man. I'm sorry. There's a slight delay for me because I'm trying to account for like the storm and the
Right.
stream. So go ahead.
Yeah, Joe has some good comments. So there's kind of a gray area here. Like, if somebody like Lucapaschi or the artists who did this new art or anybody on the project just says, yeah, here's a free product, but if you want, I do have a donation box if you want to do a free will donation just for fun, to help me out. Like, it's not required. Like, so can they do that? I mean, if they're not giving the impression that, oh, if you pay me, you get this product.
Is it like a go not a GoFundMe, but a
It's not a Kickstarter. It's not a
no,
fundraiser.
it wouldn't
It's
be
not a
a
fund.
Kickstarter, but like
Crowd-
a Patreon?
Crowdfunded. Well, see, that's the thing. I think it's legal for people to just have their own Patreon where you can like donate money. Like I could have one and say, "Yeah, I'm
But
not charging you to watch the RantCast, but
no,
if you
no,
want to give me some money,
that's what I'm
like
saying,
you
but
can."
like to me it would just be the Patreon like, hey, uh the contribution to projects in general.
Oh, and
Um
because of your, we're so grateful to you. We'll send you this free product.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
or
that's
just
that's a
not linking
real
yourself to the project. And that's what I'm saying is like I don't know. Like I
that
said, there's probably nothing, right? Um
yeah. But I think that's an area that's really fraught with potential abuse, and so there's a lot of scrutiny towards that. So you'd have to be really, really careful. Because yes, there's definitely people that are saying like, I want this, like, but I don't have a 3D printer. Can you print it for me? Like, I'll pay you. Like, I'll pay you to print it out. Like, oh, that looks so cool. I'll pay you. Oh, can I help you out? And it's just like, it's really hard to turn that down, but it's like,
how
you don't want
many
to give the impression that you are selling it. Because at a
how
certain point, it's
many
like you get paid and you give it away.
how many requests does this guy have already? I'm assuming he's got a bunch of people requesting this product already then if it's free.
Yeah, I think so. I think he does. Um,
Yeah, I agree with
Haviland
that
Hill
too.
should hire him as a designer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you think about it with modern HeroQuest. I mean, does Doug Hopkins design everything? No. I mean, he's the guy that he
Is
will
he doing this
have
by
the
himself?
no, he didn't, but he's doing it in kind of a similar way to like what Avalon Hill does. So like let's say you and I are on a team, we're creating a game. And I'm like, "Listen, I don't have enough talent to create this, but I know what to do. I know where to find people to do. So I'm going to find an artist that I've seen samples of their work and it's like, "Hey, I'm going to commission you to create this thing. So I need pictures of wizards throwing fireballs. I need pictures of orcs like, stabbing people through the neck. Can you do that? I'll pay you for that. Good. And I have the right to distribute this in my project. The artist agrees, go for there. So like Doug has done his own stuff, but he's also commissioned other people to do things. So like Nikki Dawes is one of these freelance artists that's worked on HeroQuest quite often. And it's like if you go to her website, it says, it shows a picture of the HeroQuest thing and it says like commissioned by Doug Hopkins. It's like, oh, well, there you go. There's the connection. It's like, you can see behind the curtain a little bit. So some of their stuff they create in house, other stuff they bring in from, guest writers and things. So it's the same way here. Lucapaschi didn't do all this, but he worked with people. I think Lesto Dante is one of the guys who hired some of these artists and brought them in. So he's like the art director, if you will. So it's like, oh, that's cool. And I think he sells HeroQuest stuff, but I mean, it's unofficial, it's unbranded, but it's obviously meant to be used with HeroQuest.
Okay.
Joe
Wow.
says, just need a disclaimer recognizing the copyright or whatever, and that this is fan made. Yeah, there's probably a better way to do it than just slapping it on the card, even just because it matches. Like honestly, as someone who's done a lot of homebrew himself, like a lot of those cards you see in my streams are not official HeroQuest cards. They're just printed to look like them. But if you look carefully, you'll see that I don't put those copyright notices on there because that's not what it is. First of all, it wouldn't be printed. Second of all, it's not. It's actually something that I've homebrewed myself. But I mean, most of the time, like that art is not mine. I just grabbed it off the web. I'm not selling it. I just made it, a small batch for myself to use in my game.
So,
And
Bohemians, I I see what you're talking about, right? My thing is that like so for like fan
thanks.
projects to be this big, I I'm assuming it's probably gonna catch some eyes, and that's it. like there are fan projects that get released all the time for a lot of big IPs. Um, it's they're for me they're just small questions. I don't really I don't know if I have a big worry. I'm not like educated enough on the HeroQuest IP to know if it would attract attention, but just from what Kurgan's told me about the HeroQuest name being used, um,
Mhm.
I mean, if it gets used often in fan made projects, fine. If it's going to be free, I don't think it'll be a problem. My original question was just the fact that since it is a big project and it has good intentions,
Yeah.
I'm just more worried about the people with not good intentions. You know, the
Yeah.
people who
Same.
will pick
Same
all
here.
three of these up and then turn around to the ignorant and try to resell.
Yep.
Um,
Say, oh yeah, you get the
but
frozen horror for 500. You get the Mage of the Mirror for 1,000. Oh, and 2,000 for this Lost Wizard quest pack.
I think that he might help cover that with maybe a not for resale or um, like maybe something to tag that this product was free.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if
You
he's
sell
not
this,
worried about it,
you pay for this, you're being scammed.
then
Yeah.
I think if he's smart and resourceful enough to do all three of these, and like I said, the product looks amazing. So then, like I said, all my questions were pretty much answered. So I don't really have too much of a
Yeah.
worry. So,
Yeah.
but
But it's one of those things that'll keep getting asked. Like as soon as people say it, they'll be like, "Where can I buy this?" And be like, "You can't." Well, why
it's
not?
free.
It's free. Yeah. Well, there's this guy selling it. Well, he's not supposed to do that.
Uh,
Yeah.
do you know when they're getting released?
Well, some of the images he showed said so he made this fake flyer that was supposed to look like it came out in the 90s and it was saying like, coming, 2024. And it's like he's thinking that it may or may not happen. So he mentioned he's kind of a perfectionist, or a lot of the people on the team who are editing and stuff. So, you're ready to release it and then it's like, "Oh, I found a typo. I got to change that." Or, we should tweak this thing here. So it's probably going to be either at the end of this year or early next year.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Like I said, it's free, so and
Yeah.
it's a big
I mean,
project. So I'm not
I
like
was thinking worst case scenario, Hasbro does get heavy-handed, steps in, shuts the whole thing down, and you won't be able to find it except for a couple people pirating it somewhere. Maybe another scenario I can imagine is Hasbro steps in and says, "Listen here, you can do this, but you got to change the name. You got to get rid of our stuff that we created." So then they'd have to go back in and basically rewrite a lot of the stuff. I don't know what percentage, maybe like 20% is brand new.
that'd be a lot. I mean, just
Yeah.
even that'd be a lot. I would say if they go to shut it down, you can. I'm pretty sure you can still distribute resources to make it.
Yeah.
So if you really wanted to, you could just make your own. But
Yeah.
like,
It's like,
yeah, that
here's
would
the
be
artwork that we made, and here's a concept. Because the thing about it is, this whole D&D OGL thing taught me that you can't really copyright game mechanics. I mean, a lot of companies have tried to do that, and it's
see
been a big
trying to
fight.
make the product not yours.
Yeah, but it's just like, oh, so nobody has the copyright on or the trademark on rolling dice and then moving a piece around the board. Like you can do that. Having but I mean, like even the OGL stuff, like if you want to use like roll, D20s for spells and things or whatever it is, you can tell I'm not a D&D player, but I mean, like a lot of that stuff is free for anybody to put in their game. As long as you're not calling it D&D, you can call it something else.
Well, yeah, that's good, Behemoths. Like I mentioned prior, um, that there might be a book or
Yeah.
a notice on the box or somewhere in
Hmm.
there saying either not for resale or like I said, I haven't watched the entire interview yet, and that's like I said, that is my bad. Um,
Well,
but
well,
you know,
and Bohemius makes a good point. What we're seeing in those pictures are mock-ups, are personal copies. So I mean, it would be stupid, it would be silly, it would be weird. You might start to question my sanity. But what if I wanted to print out a totally fake poster of Revenge of the Jedi and put a fake signature from George Lucas saying, to my bestest friend Kurgan, you're the greatest, like completely fake, and print that out and put it on my wall?
Hmm.
It's weird, but who cares? The problem comes in when I try to sell that and claim that it's a real like thing, right? Or what if I give it away? I print it out, I give it to you, and you go, I'm going to make a quick buck and sell this online. Then I think they would have the right to step in and say, wait a minute, you're misrepresenting this. You're pretending this is a real thing and not just something you just made up. So
Yeah,
I
and
would think those people
like
who abused it would get in trouble and not the project itself.
and like I brought up before, I don't think we're gonna have any issue. It was just a big, just a curiosity at first,
Curiosity. Yeah, but
but if he's mentioned
everyone's
it,
wondering
he
it.
has his ducks in a row. I'm pretty sure we'll be fine.
Yeah. So
Um,
maybe when you download it, there will be a disclaimer at the bottom of each card saying not for resale, fan restoration of draft notes from
a lot on a
Milton
card.
Bradley, 1993. Yeah, like in really tiny print or something. Little disclaimer. But I mean, when you go to print it out for yourself to play at home, you might just like erase that part and just print it. Maybe, you know, because it's not seeing the light of day outside your home. It's just on your game table. Like you don't want all that extra text. You just scrub it off. But now if you scrub it off and then sell it, pretending, oh, I didn't know it didn't belong to me, it's like, okay, then you're asking for trouble, I think. But again, we're not
Right,
copyright lawyers, so none of this is, well, Kurgan said I could do this. Like, no,
not legal eagle stuff.
yep, not legal. So yeah, so I think from the standpoint of Avalon Hill, they just kind of like look the other way. Nah, 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 as long as you're supporting us, we know your intentions. We're not going to make a big problem. Hasbro, on the other hand, they do have the power and the stake if they want to, but so far they have not been heavy-handed about it. They've taken a few key examples of people who were intending to sell mass produce products with the HeroQuest logo and the HeroQuest name and said, change it or we're C&D in you. So that happened to Dungeons Quest, that happened to Sunday Quest Adventures, that happened to Sue Quest. If it happens to this, it would really suck because you lose that feeling of authenticity because the whole thing is a fantasy. It's like, well, what if these quest packs were finished and released? What if they were done in the style of the original thing? So if they have to go back in and change it to something else, Lucapaschi's Lost Quest packs, HeroQuest compatible, not endorsed by Hasbro or Avalon Hill, it's like, okay, well, we get it, but it loses some of that illusion. But now a person could still turn around and say, yeah, I'm going to convert it and my personal copy, I'm going to print the HeroQuest logo boldly on the front and put a fake copyright notice. And I'm just never going to try to sell it to anybody or fool anybody. Didn't want to say that out loud. Yeah, I get it, Bohemius. So yeah, and I want the project to go forward, and I don't want anybody to abuse it or draw unwanted, scrutiny from Hasbro. But the fact is, like, they have to know it exists. They can't not know. It's been talked about so much for so long. On the other hand,
Avalon Hill
you may
might know, but does Hasbro know?
yeah, because they might just rely on them. Yeah. Well, there is possibly a sea change happening, a revolution, if you will. There's been an awakening. Have you felt it? No, man, that all those things. So, because on January 1st, according to Tech Raptor, um, HeroQuest First Light is coming to stores, Target stores in the U.S. and various stores like Zavvi and Hasbro Pulse in Europe. So, a lot of people who probably don't remember that HeroQuest has been back all this time, or never knew, or maybe had never heard of HeroQuest, like HeroQuest might be about to explode. to the mainstream, or might not. It might remain a small thing, but it might blow up. There might be a lot more people getting into this that have no idea what they're doing, and they might be going on Etsy and buying weird stuff. And Hasbro might feel the need to put their foot down. So it is kind of a delicate time
So, are
for
you
the
saying they're
moment.
taking a big step right now and expanding where they're selling into different markets?
Yes, because up until now,
Oh,
yeah, big news. So, I mean, we've known this for a long time, but I think just the implications of it are hitting me. So, back when Against the Ogre Horde was coming out, when they had the layoffs and Carmine was let go, Avalon Bill was let go. All of a sudden, they'd basically taken away the central leadership, and the community outreach for Avalon Hill to the fans for HeroQuest had been taken away. And some of us were worried, like, does this mean they're shutting the whole thing down? Because they were starting to slash the prices on a lot of HeroQuest products. Things were going out of stock. And so if you wanted to piece it together, I mean, now they've said no, that's not what was happening. But at the time, a lot of us were worried that maybe they're just going to let this brand dry up and disappear because it's not making them enough money. They're trying to tighten their belts. I mean, a lot more people were let go from Wizards of the Coast. Um, Cynthia Williams resigned. All that stuff happened, and we got Jungles of Delthrak. But I mean, that's because it was already finished. It was still in the pipeline. It came out. That was still under that old leadership. Well, First Light was the next step, and we had the whole thing with the AI cover, the Clark Mitchell debacle. There was some concern among fans that they were forced to change the cover because of our complaints, but maybe they lost a lot of money doing that. Maybe they delayed the project a lot. Maybe they missed their window. But from what Patrick said, Patrick O'Rourke at Gen Con, he said they had time to make that change. They knew it was necessary and they did it. So
why the job?
I trust,
Well, I'm guessing maybe the job cuts because of the maybe quarterly earnings, but it doesn't
yeah.
look like they're suffering any.
They
So,
said there was a public document. I forget what it was called specifically, but it was a real document. It wasn't like a leak or anything. It was like their annual report or their quarterly report or whatever it's called. Businesses do this. They put out, publicly
yeah,
traded companies put out this progress and say, this is how we did.
yep,
And they were saying
quarterly
that
earnings.
they said the Avalon Hill, it's not a direct quote, Avalon Hill HeroQuest products sold well and partially made up for losses in Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. It was like, really? Wow. Because those are seen as their primary breadwinners. Outside of the big name, GI Joe, Transformers, Star Wars. Aside from those, it's Magic the Gathering all day long. It's D&D 24/7. So like
It's not enough to
those,
keep people in seats.
yeah. So yeah, it's like a little bit of HeroQuest still doesn't cover all the money that they seem to
No,
be
it's
bleeding.
well, okay, so surprisingly, a company can be in the green and they will cut 20% of their workforce. I've seen it happen. Quarterly earnings can be found. I
We're doing
believe,
great. You're
yeah.
fired.
Well, it's not just that. It's how they also look at investors. Um, they look at a lot of things. It happens. I follow a lot of the video game industry, so it happens a lot over there. But it's with a lot of big
Mhm.
companies. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, they'll do
And
that
I'm not
just to make sure they have that extra padding, and it's
I mean, I'm
sad.
not It is. And I'm not some financial guru, so I probably say something and people just smack their foreheads like that guy just doesn't know anything. But I always thought they should just expand. Like instead of all this, we're going to squeeze people and squeeze them and squeeze them and squeeze them until they give up. Instead, why don't you just expand? Like just get more people buying your product. Like there's all kinds of countries in the world that would love to get a sample of what you're selling. So I think this first light is actually a step in the right direction because now for the first time it's going to be in regular retail stores. Like
Well,
I
they
know for
definitely have the
years,
space now to do so.
yeah, yeah. Well, even before COVID, people were telling me. people don't buy board games in stores, you idiot. They buy it online. Like everybody goes online and buys stuff in bulk that way. And I'm just like, yeah, but there's still people out there that do their grocery shopping and, the kids go through the toy aisle. Oh, I want that. Like, okay, well, maybe Santa will get you that this year. I'm like, okay. There's still a way of reaching people that way. And so what First Light is going to be at Target, which is one of the big retail chains around here. It's not in the rest of the world, but there's other stores like that. And it is a Target exclusive. So a lot of people were moaning about that, and I think I'm holding out hope that it's not going to remain a Target exclusive. They haven't said that, but the key example, and it's not a Hasbro product, but it's a similar type of thing. It's often compared is Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, which was a standalone thing for Gloomhaven. Started out as a Target exclusive. I think it was an exclusive for like 6 months to a year. Now it's in all kinds of stores. So you can go to Walmart. But the idea is you'll be able to see HeroQuest First Light, which will serve as like an alternative game system. So you can just play it right out of the box. It's compatible with all the expansions. They'll be in a regular store. So you don't have to go to your local comic shop and hear the guy talk your ear off about the new Pathfinder. And oh, by the way, here's HeroQuest, like next to, you know, 30 other games that you've never heard of that are really expensive. Instead, it's going to be next to like Risk and Monopoly and Yeti My Spaghetti and all that stuff. So what they wanted to do with this is to lower the price point and make the box smaller so it feels not out of place next to those other products, because they thought, well, people are less likely to take a risk on, this huge box that's like $140 versus a small $50 box.
But it still looks like an expansion, doesn't it?
It does look like an expansion, yeah. And it can serve as one. If you already own HeroQuest, you can easily incorporate this into what you've already got.
Okay, so I forgot. Does it state on the box that you can start with it?
Yes, it
Okay.
does.
Okay.
So yeah, let's get into the next thing. So I sent you a link before the interview. It's called "Let's Table It."
I'm gonna
HeroQuest
keep
First Light.
this paused, by the way. This is a channel vid from Let's Table It.
Yeah,
So
shout out to Let's Table It on YouTube. Rate, comment, subscribe, support him. His video is blowing up.
do you have a
This
well, yeah, because you're about to find out.
Yep. Yeah, we're
I'm
not trying
gonna
to steal his thunder. So go click on his stuff. So the timestamp, let me get it for you
well here
here.
I'll start off right here so people know what we're looking at for an unboxing. Guess what
Yep.
we're unboxing today, folks?
Yeah. This is not me. This is Let's Table It. So some of these guys, this has happened before. There have been certain, let's say, influencers in the board games community. Maybe they're not known for HeroQuest, but they're board game streamers or whatever. They sometimes get free products sent to them, review copies. Do I feel a little bit jealous for them? A little bit,
A little bit.
but I like to maintain my objectivity. I'm not saying these guys can't be objective, but the fact is, when someone gives you a free product, there's kind of an incentive for you to give it a
Especially
positive
this
review.
early, they are restricted. It is almost a guarantee, Kurgan, they are restricted
Yep.
from saying a lot of negative, if any negative things
Well, and
on the
as
product.
you watch, yep, and as you watch this video, you can kind of tell that he's not maybe super knowledgeable about HeroQuest. He's mostly just like reciting talking points that they probably gave to him.
Okay, I'm gonna recommend
Not
people
on him.
go to the video if they want to watch it. I'm
Yeah,
going
with
to
your
I'll
own mind.
reference timestamps because I don't want to get
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But first thing you're going to notice, so this is a review copy. So he got it for free. So just like any other YouTuber, he has to put a little disclaimer saying, I did receive sponsored or whatever. He was probably given some talking points. There's probably some things he was not allowed to show yet, because you'll see he flips through some stuff really quick. Now, as a reporter, we're going to freeze frame stuff and we're going to zoom in. You know that. We're going to zoom enhance. We're going to do the whole Deckard thing, and we're gonna,
Um,
get our
I
computer out.
I can't. Well, can I enhance on here? No, I can't. It won't let me enhance on here.
Oh, darn it. We need that Blade Runner technology. But yeah, you can tell like it's zoomed out this way, I think, for a reason. So that because we had to do something similar, like with our unboxings, um, it was like, okay, you're not going to freeze frame on every single page, like to the point where someone could print it out, but you can
I
flip
mean,
through it,
I could
you know.
probably zoom in the stream itself. Let me.
Yeah, get your magnifier out. Well, the first thing you'll notice, I just a little commentary. So, and let's table it. He might do another video explaining more. But he was given this. He wasn't given a lot of extra background about it. But you can see that that's the old cover. That's the cover that everyone made fun of. That said this looks like AI. This looks like cut and paste crap, which it is. Cut and paste crap. And they knew the fans didn't like it. So this cover you see is not what the finished product will have. The new cover looks much better. Yellowfly did it. Um, we could throw up an image if we need to, but I think I trust at this point people have seen. So that cover, the box cover and the booklet cover are going to change. Also, the dice. So the dice at Gen Con, like Doug Hopkins told us flat out, this is not what the final dice will look like. And we've seen pictures of the new box, and the movement dice are red with white pips, just like the original, or the 2021 version. And the combat dice are white with black symbols. They're not ivory colored. So even though this review copy shows it that way, what this guy has in his hands right now, to me, looks exactly like what we saw at Gen Con. The only difference is at Gen Con, they were not inside boxes. It looked like they had just emptied everything out of the cardboard box into a plastic tote. And so you'll see like little inner boxes that they have and things. But I mean, the miniatures look just like that.
Hey,
And
this comes with
we got,
miniatures. I thought you said this wasn't coming with miniatures.
well, here's the deal. So the 4 heroes are plastic. The dragon is plastic. Everything else is cardboard. So
Oh,
there are new miniatures in the box. It's just that, yeah, they're referring to it as um, cardboard standees. Oh, I get it
okay.
now. People were saying, what are those numbers? So what you're seeing there, and okay, just let's keep it on this thing for a second here. So what you're seeing is the wizard hero figure. Notice how the board is like really tiny, like he's as big as an entire room. When I first saw this, I'm like, what the heck am I looking at? Well, what you're seeing is not the board. You're seeing the rule book. He opened up the rule book, and the rule book has like a fold out page that shows you what the board is supposed to look like when everything's set up. You know how modern games do that? They'll say, and then once you're done, this is what the board will look like. You put the cards over here and you put the figures over here. So those numbers are not like actual tiles that come with it. That's just a picture. So the miniature is just on top of the picture. So if you saw that in isolation, like, what am I looking at? But yes, in this version, so in the full version, the $135 one, which I guess you could call it the deluxe set now if you wanted to, the game system, the furniture is 3D plastic. In First Light, they're just flat cardboard tiles. So you've got like a flat tile that has a picture of a table on it or a picture of a bookcase on it. And you just set those down on the table and you say that's the furniture and you walk around it, which you could say that was one of the selling points of the original HeroQuest was that the furniture was 3D and now it's not. But the point of this is supposed to be to get people into HeroQuest who otherwise maybe think they can't afford it or don't know what it is or don't want to take the risk. They're going to buy this and then they might buy the game system. But even if they don't buy the game system, they might buy the other expansions. The storyline, yeah, see, this is what we were doing all day. We were freeze framing, zooming in on that, and it's like, oh, there's Quest 1. So that's what we played at Gen Con right there. Or no, that's not Quest 1. Oh, that's one of the later quests. Spoilers, everybody. Yeah, that's Quest 4, 6, the Oracle of Marlenis. Yeah, that's one of the quests. If you really wanted me to tell you, I could tell you because I've seen pictures of every quest. And you remember the companion app version 4.1 added First Light, so you could play it, the HeroQuest board game companion. You could play those quests solo if you wanted to. They put all 10 quests in there. They quickly updated it to 4.2, and there's only quest 1. Well, a lot of people probably have auto update on their phones, so too late, you've got it. But there is a way in software to revert to the previous version. Or if you're like me and you just use an emulator, like I'm not updating. I like the fact that I can play around with all 10 quests. So I already know what these quests are like. And some of us did know what was coming in the booklet, but we didn't reveal it because we, out of respect for, want to keep things a surprise. But we thought, well, if Hasbro is going to release it to the public, now the floodgates are open. Zargon can just remix the quest. That's how it goes. Now they kind of seemed embarrassed and they went back, but this is the conspiracy. This is like the guy drops all the documents in front of you by mistake. Oh, whoops, you weren't supposed to see all that. Like, are they being sloppy on purpose just to get viral clicks and enthusiasm going? I don't know. Or maybe it's just an honest mistake. But I feel like it's having the effect that it's making people more interested than if they would. Why did this guy take so long to do his review copy? I don't know. Maybe he just got to it just now, or maybe they told him to hold back until now. But nevertheless, you can see the other side of the game screen. So like, I never looked at the other side of the game screen. I was good when I was at Gen Con. Like, you don't look at the GM screen unless you're Zargon. But there was another guy, Dave Dallas from Yield In, cool guy. He looked at it, but he didn't tell anybody. What he saw. Well, now you can see what he saw. And what I'm seeing with a lot of these documents is First Light is preserving the rules pretty much as they are, except reorganizing it. Basically taking it's like you took the data from 1990 and you fed it into a machine that's going to convert it into like the style and organization of like a modern board game, like a modern board game that just came out last week. So people are used to flipping the page and it shows you a picture of what the board looks like when it's all set up. It's showing you step-by-step instructions, numbered lists, do this, then that, color coding to, get you situated, shortcuts, bookmark type things, little reference cards that say, this is what you do on your turn. This is exactly how combat works. Here's an example. Lots of examples, lots of pictures. Most of us who are HeroQuest fans don't need all that stuff, but that could be a great thing for someone who's brand new to the game, who's never played a tabletop RPG before, who has no clue how this goes. It's like, okay, I went from Candyland to this. I played chess, I've played Parcheesi, Chinese checkers, and HeroQuest. So it's like it kind of holds your hand. I did see in one of the pictures there was a little section that says, have you been here before? And then it just gave a list of new features. Doug was big on this. He was saying, listen, if you already have HeroQuest, you already have most of this. But we gave you new hero sculpts that are improved based on fan feedback. So the barbarian's no longer standing on rocks. The elf is wearing more sensible armor. The wizard looks more badass and he's got a full beard. The dwarf has got an action pose and he's a little more proportional. So they did that because that's what people wanted. People wanted a dragon because they didn't get Joe Manganiello's Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. And we're still wondering what is going to happen with the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. We haven't heard anything. A lot of people are speculating, hoping that it will come to retail one day. Some of us, I think Bohemius, I don't want to misquote you here, but I think you were saying you think the reason they put a dragon in here is just kind of like as a consolation prize because we're never going to get it. But yeah, so other things that are new in this. So the board that he's showing right now, so this is a hex fold board, and he's flipping it over to show you that on one side you've got the familiar HeroQuest board with brand new art and a boot tile, which is a nostalgic reference to the original game. But you flip it over and there's a whole brand new layout. So that what you see before you is called the caverns. So it's like every other quest, they go from the regular board to the cavern board. So the rooms are aligned differently. There's some dead end hallways. there's actually at the bottom of the board, you'll see a big, large rectangle and then 2 smaller squares on either side. Yeah, that one right there. So you see the HeroQuest logo. So that is the arena. So, and against the Ogre Horde, they added something that wasn't in the original against the Ogre Horde, the arena mode, which was like, instead of playing a regular quest, what you can do is you can just build 2 armies, kind of like a war game, and you put them in those 2 rooms. One side goes first, then the other, and each side gets to activate one of their miniatures. Activate, activate, alternating until everybody's activated. And there's tokens that you put out, so like you can move to a certain square and get a bonus potion or a bonus to one of your attacks, stuff like that. So you fight, and whoever wins gets some type of reward, and you move on. Well, Firstlight is taking those new rules that are from one of the later expansions and bringing them back into the beginning. So a lot of people were wondering if this was going to be like my first HeroQuest, like this is going to be dumbed down or simplified. It's not, because they're taking those advanced rules that you find out later from later expansions and putting it in at the beginning, so kind of retconning it so that it's always there. So that way, people that buy this will be familiar with that, and they might go, "Oh yeah, I really like that arena. That was pretty awesome. Oh, it's in one of these other expansions. Let me buy that and get more of that experience." Because all those like special tiles, those activation tiles, and like bonus potions and stuff, that's all in against the Ogre Horde. It's not here. So, but yeah, like the guys in Italy. So Luca is the next big game convention, and that's happening, I think, it's the day after Halloween, so All Saints Day. So I think it's like 4:10 a.m. our time. Doug Hopkins is going to be announcing the next big HeroQuest deal. So I'm going to miss that, but I'm sure other people will report on it. But during our interview at Gen Con, he was saying how impressed he was with the Italian fans, because they were taking that arena mode and they were making like their own version of it. They were having actual tournaments and stuff, like HeroQuest tournaments. It was like, oh, that's really cool. So who knows? Maybe that'll catch on. There you see he's got the old dice. So with this one, the doors and the monsters are all cardboard standees, which is kind of a throwback to the Brazilian edition of HeroQuest from 1993, because that one was like a budget bargain basement version of HeroQuest. It was fully legit, but I guess for the Brazilian market, they wanted to save money, so the figures were cardboard. Now that one did have plastic furniture. I think there was 2 pieces that were cardboard, like paper craft. So in some ways, it's kind of like the Brazilian version, but kind of not. But I think they were doing this cost saving measure to keep the price down and the box size down, and they could have made it a lot cheaper than they did. I think they still made nods to the history of HeroQuest. Take a look at his right hand there. So that where it says the HeroQuest logo, that we've been seeing pictures of this inner box. So these 2 small boxes inside the main box. And we were wondering, are those dice rolling trays? Well, I don't think they officially are, but they pretty much could be. So in a moment, he's going to flip it over, and you can see he just puts like the cardboard tiles that he's punched out into the box. But you could just roll your dice in there. It's just made of cardboard. It's not like the fancy dice rolling tray that Fan Roll is selling for HeroQuest, Jungles of Deltarak. Because for $40, you can buy those limited edition dice and get a nice like cloth on one side, faux leather on the other. You like snap together dice rolling tray. But what's wrong with a cardboard tray? I always said. Now these cards, I kind of wonder if there's going to be any other changes. Like while they're changing the cover, are they going to revise anything? These cards have been revised. We have seen them. So at Gen Con, they let me look at every single card, and there were no new cards except for the dragon. That was the one additional card that wasn't in the original box. But they didn't let me take photos. So I read, and I was like looking for eagle-eyed for any changes to anything. And they have changed some mechanics. So they have clarified some things. I would say they've nerfed some of the spells and items. And I kind of don't like that, but it's super easy to just ignore that and just play it the old way. But of course, people who start out with this pack are probably going to just assume that's the way it's always been because they won't know any better. But for example, they said that Orcsbane, you can make 2 attacks when attacking an orc, but it's only a single orc. So they won't let you like flank and like attack one orc on one side and one with the other with the same weapon. Whereas the original card didn't restrict you in that way. So I think that kind of sucks because it makes Orcsbane not as awesome. The Courage spell. The way the Courage spell was worded before, it sounded like you cast it on yourself or on somebody else, and that hero can just keep on dealing like mega damage to like monsters until he can't see any more monsters. So he killed them all, it wears off. Well, what Avalon Bill said, and I infamously yelled at him on Discord, disagreeing with him, saying that's not how the Force works, and I apologize for kind of overreacting later, but it's been their intention that Courage is only supposed to work for a single attack. So they majorly nerfed it. A single attack, which technically the very first version of HeroQuest from Stephen Baker, 1989, was that way. You cast Courage on somebody, they get just 1 attack with 2 extra dice. That's it. And then after that, it's back to normal. Well, they've made it now in First Light so that not only is it just 1 attack, but if the monsters run out of the room so you can't see them, it just wears off. Like the spell is wasted. So that's where you want to have the wizard go first, cast the spell on the barbarian who goes second, do it like that. Because otherwise, like if the wizard is last and he casts the spell on somebody, the monsters can all run out of the room and you never get to use it. But anyway, so they nerfed Courage. They also nerfed Command. Now, Command is one of Zargon's dread spells or chaos spells in the old lingo, where he gets to take control of one of the heroes and use that hero as a monster to attack the other heroes, which is awesome. Now, yes, the hero can resist it, but the classic thing is you cast it on the barbarian. He's only got 2 mind points, so he's only got 2 chances to resist the spell. He fails, so he can just start beating the heck out of his fellow heroes. And they're like, well, we can't just kill him. Well, the new command spell, they put a nerf specifically on it by saying it allows Zargon to move the hero and use the hero's weapon. So I'm like, oh man, like he can't use spells or potions or, I mean, I guess he could use an artifact if the artifact happens to be a weapon, but it's kind of limiting what Zargon could do. Now, I'll admit, when I was 12 years old and I got command cast on me, I'm like, oh, I don't want you to be able to do all that stuff because you could just do anything. You could, I throw away all the potions, I cast pass through rock on myself, and I walk straight into a wall and stay there, and kill myself. Like you could just be really dastardly with it. So I could kind of understand why they did that, but I personally would just ignore the restrictions they put. And then the other thing that I remember, or 2 other things, they said that Potion of Speed, which was not in the original North American version, but it was in the European version, Potion of Speed can't stack with itself. So you could have 10 potions of speed, but you only get to use 1 per turn. Now, it already doubles your movement, so you're rolling 4d6 to move, which is probably good enough to get wherever you need to go, unless you roll all 1s or something. But you couldn't just use 2. The old version didn't say it was limited. Okay. Then a lot of people wanted the dwarf to start with a hand axe instead of a short sword, because the elf starts with the short swords, like they got the same weapon. So they put on the card, he starts with a hand axe. It's like, that's kind of cool. Well, what's a hand axe? It's 2 dice attack. You can throw the hand axe. So people were joking, yeah, the first quest he throws the axe across the room and loses it. Now he's fighting with his fists the rest of the adventure. That sucks. Bohemia says, I'm glad they unified the rules and put them in all together. I don't think that was me that said that about the dragon. Could be the real reason. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to misquote you there, Bohemius. Somebody said it. Joe says, I like the flat cardboard furniture to be able to place under the 3D ones. Yeah, people have come up with their own ideas of what it's going to be. I've heard people say that they're going to use the cardboard monsters as like dead bodies to like litter the dungeon. I mean, there's all kinds of things you could use it for. if you want to. Definitely looks like standard board game. Set instructions. Bohemia says first AI. It must be nice to get free stuff because you have a YouTube channel. Well, I have gotten free stuff. I don't know if it's because of my YouTube channel, but I mean, when I was at Gen Con last year, they gave me a copy of Betrayal. And I said I wanted to buy it because I swear, like the whole convention, like N. Carmine and all those guys were just talking up, oh, Betrayal this, Betrayal that, Betrayal's so awesome. You should get Betrayal. And I was like, yeah, I think I'd like to buy a copy. And they're like, it's sold out. I'm like, dang it. And they're like, hold on. So they went to the back, and I don't know if they might have just grabbed the display copy and just said, here. I'm like, how much? And they're just like, you can just have it. I'm like, sweet. But then I knew that when I was going to do an unboxing, after I played it and gave my review, I had to put the little disclaimer on YouTube saying I received this for free. This was a sponsored, gift or whatever. So there's that. Well, this year they gave me Talisman 5th edition. It's like, okay, that was pretty sweet. They didn't have to do that. But again, I gotta admit that that's that. But I mean, I've never gotten. Well, the only HeroQuest I have gotten some HeroQuest things for free. So when the Dread Veil dice first came out, I did get that for free. Now you could say it's pretty obvious that I did unboxing videos for all the HeroQuest stuff that I've bought. So there's proof right there that I've spent money, to help their cause, so to speak. So they could probably justify giving me those dice, even if I didn't turn around and buy another copy. Now, this year, they weren't quite so nice about it because they didn't just give me the dice for free, even though I've already bought a copy of Jungles of Delthrak. I would have had to turn around and buy a second copy. Then they would have given me the dice. By then, I was kind of like, I'm over it. These dice are cool looking, but we've talked about it. They're kind of hard to read. The symbols are kind of hard to read. Now that's another thing. If you buy Firstlight, you're going to get another set of combat dice. For some people, that's a big deal because they don't sell the dice like on their own separately. Yes, they did have a couple of store giveaways where you could get the Mountain Dew dice, as we call them, at these various stores, but I mean, those were really limited supply. And the dice are kind of not as good as the regular dice. So this is still a kind of a nice thing. But yeah, would I spend $50, because this is going to be $50 MSRP, would I spend $50 to get 4 new miniatures, an extra set of dice, an alternate board, 1 new monster card? I don't know. It's kind of,
Yes.
I probably would because I'm a super fan. What's that?
Said yes. All the money.
All the money, yeah. Buy all the things. Consume product, get excited for next product.
Eat
I
product.
did. Yep, I did get a certain item for free and 3 of the Mountain Dew dice. Yeah. Yeah. So there were, at every Gen Con, there's swag, there's bonus items, there's free stuff that they give away. But I make a distinction between stuff that's like not sold in stores and stuff that is. So if I go to Gen Con and they give me a copy of Talisman, that's like a $60 game. So if I do a review of that, I'm potentially influencing people who might be going to the store to buy that, because you can buy that at Barnes and Noble, you can buy it, at Target or wherever. But the Mountain Dew dice were never sold. So they gave me a free copy of those. Well, who cares? Like, I make a video saying these are the awesomest dice ever. Well, that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't, I mean, maybe it would help some guy on eBay who's trying to sell them, scalp them. But yeah, that's the difference. So yeah, we got free dice. So I mean, I got some Talisman dice for free. I got HeroQuest dice for free. But yeah, the Dreadveil dice are the only HeroQuest product that they gave me for free that you could otherwise have bought. And those are out of stock. So if I did a video now saying how awesome they were, it's like, well, I guess I'm just only helping myself at that point. I'd still put a disclaimer though, because I'm not trying to get in trouble. Because there have been scandals in the past where people have done videos, praising some product, and it's like they didn't disclose that they got it for free or that they have a relationship with the company. So I think a lot of my relationship with Avalon Hill is I like these guys. They seem cool. They're nice to me. But I also want to keep a little bit of professional distance. I want to maintain a little bit of objectivity. And I know it's funny to say because I'm a super fan, but it's like I've been critical of them. And if I was locked into some kind of agreement with them, like I had to sign an NDA or a non disparagement thing, like I couldn't say, like if I was mad at them, I couldn't say it. I'd have to just, oh, well, let's look on the bright side, kind of thing. So I want to just give myself that freedom, even if it means I might not be as big or I might not have as much stuff.
I
Because yeah,
got
getting free games
I,
would be awesome.
I got Outlaws for free, but that didn't stop me from talking crap about it.
See,
So
there you go. Yeah, and lots of people are that way, but there's a risk, a temptation, a
they just
real
don't send you free stuff anymore, pretty much. I
yeah,
mean,
because they could
I don't
say
know a
this
lot of
guy's
NDAs that like
this,
threaten like lawsuit and stuff, but like
well,
most of the
I've heard of
time,
not
it's just we won't send it
yeah,
anymore.
I've heard of non-disparagement clauses, but usually that's like you're an employee, and so you can't say anything bad about the company until like 6 months after you've quit or something like that. But yeah, the fear of loss of access is what it's about. So if I'm used to getting a free game every month, so I'm saving like $50 a month from this company, and I'm running my small business as an influencer, streamer, or whatever. And then all of a sudden they are like, "Yeah, we can't get you on the list this year." Oh shoot, it must be because of those negative reviews I did. Oh man, like so there's that fear that people have. So that's why they put these minimum safeguards, and I want to impose that on myself too, of saying like I don't ever want to be reliant on yeah feeling like I have to be their spokesman or their
Well, it's
pitchman
a
or their
good thing it's not
cheer
your main source of
cheerleader.
income. And that's
Yeah,
why I don't that's why I will never make streaming my main source of income or ever try to
not
make
really.
streaming or YouTube. Like I said, if you ever do get on that bandwagon, you make a lot of money, but like it's a very high slope to reach. Once you get
Yeah,
there,
it is.
it's a lot of money, but it's also a
Oh,
long way to fall because you don't ever keep it unless you
yes,
like follow the algorithm trend. And
exactly.
on that note, yes, you do
Well,
have to start following those weird clauses or pull the Raid Shadow Legends thing. You
oh
know,
yeah,
um,
yeah. Hello Fresh.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
sponsors. Yeah.
yeah, not sponsored. Yeah, so on YouTube, I mean, a lot of people know that I passed the 1,000K subscriber mark. So in theory, I can start monetizing my videos. But I'm like, man, like I've seen enough horror stories. I mean, the problem is I don't stream enough to really make much money. Like I'm probably just gonna lose money on it, and that's fine because it's just a hobby. Like I spend money on my hobby, I get enjoyment out of it. That's what it is. It's not like I make a profit from it.
Well, and they
Um,
technically just alone, it's not enough. Like most people have to like Joe saying, you have
you
to
gotta-
put a sponsor in your video. Plus, you have to have the ads running. It really drives me nuts when like I get an ad at the beginning of my video, and then I'm listening to like one of those live documentaries, and the dude's like, "Yeah," and then this dude's fall from grace happened. But first, did you ever know that you could do sports betting this way? You could do it at
yeah,
this site. Like what? No, I already
yeah,
get bombarded by ads on YouTube. Why do I have to listen to you talk about a sponsor?
unskippable ads, and yeah. I mean, some people make it funny, like they almost poke fun at the sponsor. I always liked Alfred Hitchcock for that reason. Like
Well, you
he
can
would always make
skip.
fun of
Like you can like
yeah,
fast forward through that, but like it's
yeah.
so irritating.
Although Alfred Hitchcock is kind of a world apart because now when you watch his show, like there are no commercials. So he's just making fun of some sponsor that you've never seen. like who the heck is he talking about? You know? But
You
anyway,
pay
it'd just
for
be kind of fun.
you pay for YouTube Premium. Oof.
Oh man. Well,
Uh,
see, yeah. I
Joe,
well,
I'm not gonna I won't give you crap.
well,
I mean, I
that
understand.
that's another thing that I've thought about is I don't like to see ads. So I may or may not have used an ad blocker
Ribby, you
to
pay for
stop.
YouTube Premium?
Dang.
Uh,
But
so do
see,
I.
but see here's
You
the
know
thing.
what I do? It's called Revanced. I don't
I'm on a family account. Well,
I
see,
don't
there's
have
all
to pay
kinds of
I don't
tricks.
have to pay for YouTube Premium.
But what I'm trying to say is, if I'm blocking ads because I don't want to see them, what right do I have to demand that other people watch my ads so that I can get paid? Like that feels like cheating. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's legal to do that. I mean, oh, it's against the terms of service.
Oh, I didn't say
So
anything. I didn't say anything,
yeah,
and I'm not gonna say anymore. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure everybody
and
gets the idea.
yeah. I'm not saying I block ads. I may or may not have. You never know. You'll never know. Yeah. So will
I
you
just don't
ever
use
see
anything
ads?
Chrome related. Don't use anything Chrome related, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, if you, but that's the other thing. Sometimes people get really weird ads on their videos. Like, listen, if you see an ad on my video, it's not me, okay? It's something else. So
Or
don't pay it any mind. In fact, if you're annoyed by it, don't buy the product. How
or
about that?
or or get this. What you do is you get a
Oh,
VPN
crap.
and you switch yourself over to Australia. They have the shortest ads ever, and most of them are sports betting ads. But since gambling is highly like revered
That's gonna
over there,
make all kinds of
it's like a
sense.
smoking ad where like they try to get you into smoking, and then at the end it's like it'll kill you. Like it, there's like a sports bet ad in Australia where it's like you could get 4 times even in fourth place, and right at the end it's like a deep dark voice that goes, "Chances are you're about to lose." Or
You lose all your money.
yeah,
Your
or
wife will leave you. You
or
will
at
be
the
in
end of
poverty.
another ad, it'll be like, "Imagine what you could be buying instead." Like they are the best. They are the best ads, dude. It's like
Oh man,
they used
I'm
to
gonna
do the
look at
one
that.
eight hundred. They used to do the 1-800 bets off.
Yep.
And like over here, but since gambling is like such a big thing in the states.
Become.
Like we
Yeah.
have no shame for kids or for adults anymore. We don't care. Bring your children in. Everybody needs to gamble. Come on, as long as
Yep.
it's not at a like you can't do casino gambling, but like all the
Yeah.
microtransaction
I.
loot box
I.
garbage.
That's
Australia
probably.
has it good. I mean, they've got deadly creatures, but they have their heads on straight when it comes to kids and gambling and stuff. They don't. It's
We
highly
could learn.
frowned upon. So they're trying to bring it on over there, and they're like, okay, but we're gonna deter it by like telling you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Like oh man, M&Ms are so
Those,
so delicious, so
dude, it's
chocolatey,
great
delicious. It'll
because
cause diabetes.
I still have
What?
my original YouTube app, right? And I the two places that I have my VPN directed to because I use Molvad, and Molvad's great because it's a privacy. I have a privacy browser and a VPN, so
Speaking of
you ain't
sponsors, no,
finding me
no.
nowhere. But it's not sponsored, just recommended.
Use
But
promo code RantCast. No,
but
for
the
3 months
well,
free.
I mean, because it's a VPN that you do have to pay for, but you don't. It's not an automatic resubscription. It's just a token you throw $5 into, you get 30 days, and if you don't want to pay for it, they don't automatically resub for you. It just tells you that you're out of creds and you need to throw another $5 in whenever you want.
That's
So
nice. Yeah.
and like
I've
it doesn't. It's
I've
great because
lost
I don't
more money to subscriptions that I forgot to cancel.
fucking hate the anyway. The yeah, but like the two places I have are Hong Kong and Brisbane, Australia, because Hong Kong
Oh
has the
yeah.
funniest ads for YouTube. So if I ever do want to like
I want to
catch
check this
ads,
out now.
dude, I'm telling you, hold on, hold on.
Like I will watch some commercials from some other country because
That's
yeah, it's
okay. So
different
here,
culture rules.
I'm watching a YouTube video right now, right? And I have my ads because, like I said, Google tailors to where you're at, where they think you're at. Look at the ad that popped up, and it's in Chinese, or
Bonjour.
so, but it's
You're
Total
not.
Football 24. It's all gambling, or
This is an ad within an ad within an ad. It's like an infinite regress.
yeah, but it's hilarious because you'll get like the funniest ads from those two
VPNs all
places.
the way down. I'm getting silly here. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, it's like if we were sponsored, this would be the perfect time for us to say, yeah, shill VPN, 3 months free with your promo code.
I mean, I don't sponsor.
Yeah, I'm
It's
RantCast.
just that's a recommended. I would.
Well,
I mean, if
what
you're
about
ever,
this?
you know,
What about this strange bus? Could you ever see yourself like you're retired, kids are grown up, moved out, you just want to get a little extra money for your Metamucil, so you're streaming for cash? Would you?
Be
You
like
just
the
say, what do you think?
be like the streaming grandpa.
Yeah, it's like
They're
I
old people that
remember when
stream.
we had physical media.
There's a
Talking
guy
about
who's like in his 60s or 70s that streams, and he plays like games that I play, like first person shooters. And he's really good at them because he used to be a sniper in the military, so he has a steady hand.
dang.
Man, he was just playing a body cam not too long ago, and I was like, man, he's better than I am at that. And like, I'm not that great at video games, but holy shit,
Well,
man.
you think about kids are good at games because they don't have to stop playing until it's bedtime or they got to go to school. And people who are retired, it's like if you've got nothing else to do, you got time. If you
I
if you
mean,
want to put in the
if you keep your body in good condition, that's what I'm saying. You
Yeah,
gotta keep you. You gotta have a healthy mind. Because I feel like when I get to be that age, my mind will probably be long gone. I'll probably be able to play video games, but like I don't know if I'll be able to remember. Like I can remember like certain controls up to like a month or so, like and still have the decency to come back and like
oh yeah,
muscle memory. Like I went back to Cyberpunk not too long ago, and like everything came back within 5 minutes. And then I
yeah,
could go to like I'm playing Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero right now, and like that's a fighting game that's very fast paced. And yeah, I'm a little slow at it, not like I used to
quarter
be with
circle
Tenkaichi
forward,
games. But yeah, but like
punch.
but if like me like 80, if I'm playing like Skyrim or something, like that'll be the only game I'll be playing. And then if I switch over, it'll be like almost a new experience. Like
Yeah,
here I am playing
people get
Cyberpunk again. I'm gonna need all the assistance settings turned on.
yeah. You're gonna be like
What
cursing at the game. They're like,
what
"Oh, that poor old guy. Go left, old man."
what quest was I? Like I that's
Yeah,
yeah. Uh
I can remember staying up playing like Wolfenstein and Doom, and like it's like 2 a.m. and I'm like I've gone through the same dungeon like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, "Where the hell's the key? I can't find it. I'm lost." And
oh
I go to bed.
man. Yeah.
Next day, I get up, fired up, and it's like, "Oh, left, right. There it is."
Joe says I suck at video games. I got killed in Fallout as soon as I left the vault. I can't work with the controls fast enough to defend myself. I feel like that's. I feel
All
like that
for
really is
yeah.
kind of like a thing that you're just gonna have to keep working at. Because like I said, I used to be really good at like the fast
Some
paced
games
Dragon
have
Ball
a
games, and they've
yeah.
now evolved to be even more punishingly hard
Oh
or
yeah.
like unfair, and like they're
Well,
geared towards younger kids, and like
Twitch players.
it took
Yeah.
well that and just kids who want punishing like you said Dark Souls is like the FromSoft games are very popular nowadays. So like the roguelike the games that like literally punish you for losing are
Yep.
very popular nowadays. And um
Well, even
yeah,
my
it's
experience with like I thought I was a fairly decent first person shooter player. I mean, obviously I wasn't the kid that, no scoped you across the map and then teabagged you and insulted your mother. Like I'm not that guy. But I thought, I can
uh-huh.
hold my own in a variety of games. I played Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and I was like, I've been out of the game too long because the way I'm used to playing first person shooters is I'm listening to the sound of like footsteps and stuff and like sounds of people picking up power ups. I'm used to running around the map, doing a cycle. Like, okay, get this thing, get that power up, get that weapon, camp that area. And then it's like, but changing it up every so often, like, oh, I'm forming a pattern. So I reverse myself or I cut across and I start doing stuff like that. But that's my usual like deathmatch play. But in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, it was like that's not how you play this game. You could camp one place the entire game if you wanted to. And you're looking at that visual map more than you could have the sound off and you're still exactly where everybody is. And you're looking for like muzzle flashes and stuff. So it's totally different. So I was like, I have to
you know
relearn it. Even though
you know they're
deceptively
on
it looks like the same thing.
they're on Black Ops 6 now, right? You're talking about like
Yeah.
you're like 10 years
Yeah.
behind.
I know, but I mean, at the time, Black Ops 2 was a new game, and so I got back
Oh,
into it. It was like, oh
uh,
man.
speaking of which, Randy,
Basically,
you missed Dungeonborn and
I'm
Dark and
like,
Darker. You need to join us again on that.
I'm basically on the Xbox 360, so I only go up to like 2012 for games, something like that.
2014, I think was the
2014,
360. Well, technically, the 360's lifespan went up to
2017.
yeah, 2016,
At
2017. Yeah.
2017, they stopped releasing new consoles, and basically, though I think in theory, Xbox Live, I mean, it's not called Xbox Live anymore, it's something else, but that will live forever in a sense because a lot of those games are fully compatible with Xbox One and Series X. So like I've gone on there and I've played either by myself or with my brother, and people are like, "Yeah, I'm on Series X." Like, what? So they're playing me on a 360, and the game's still compatible because it's backwards compatible.
They use a ported emulation, I think, for those games.
Okay.
For the older games, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that. It's like I can still play World at War if I want to, with people or whatever game it
Pretty
is.
fun.
Yeah. Because I mean, I just play it solo. I'd play it on a LAN or something. Yeah.
I said I don't play too much online multiplayer. Like I said, I played Fortnite when I was doing multiplayer madness. I did some stuff
Mhm.
with other streamers. I'll play like so we played Dark and Darker and Dungeonborn. I'll play those games because those can be pretty punishing once you actually get to other players. But when it comes to like other online games, like competitive anything, I kind of don't do it. I got out of it for a long time, but
Yeah.
I used
So
to be
the
good at
newer,
like Modern Warfare 2, but that was about it. Way back
yeah.
in the day.
So World at War, I forget if that was 2009 or what it was, but it's pretty
2008.
old now. 2008. Okay. Yeah. So that was the first Call of Duty Zombies, if you want to look at that. So I enjoy that, but yeah, if I was playing like Fortnite or what was that, Horizon, there's like all these other games that have come since then and like come and gone and been popular, and it's like I don't know, I've never played those. I've watched other people play them, but I would probably absolutely suck. I'd have to like practice and learn it. But yeah, games are for fun. So yeah, I certainly appreciate the fact that you can do these long game streams. But yeah, video games, like if I play video games these days, it's usually just me playing for an hour or something on my Genesis or on MAME or, Jedi Academy or something, just on my computer, like just fired up. But most of the time, like these last few months, I've just been doing all board games. Like the stream has taken up like all my game time pretty much. And that's fine because I'm having a good time. But yeah, it's definitely kind of a shock going back and forth. Whereas before it was the opposite. Like I'd be playing video games all the time, and if I played a board game, it was like, whoa, man, my attention span is like having to be modified here. Like I got to be patient and sit here and like study these rules and flip over these cards. I hate Fortnite. I kept getting shot out of the sky, so I rage deleted it. I used to play it with my daughter. Oh,
It was a fun game to play with
or
other
Joe.
people for a little while, but
Yeah,
I like I said I kind of
yeah.
got out of it too. That
Some of
and
those games
yeah,
that
I don't
that's
like the
all that's always been.
microtransactions.
Yeah, I don't like the microtransactions. There's always been an issue though with every game. Like the Halo games, they took those servers down from the old uh, consoles, and that pissed me off because I just bought like the whole series pretty much for
Those
myself and my
games,
brother.
most of
We were
those
gonna
games
play
have
together.
good campaigns, man. Those games are worth replaying just for the
They
story.
do, they do, and you can still have private matches. So as long as you get together with your friends, you can still play. You're not going to have like 20 on 20, battle fests, but it's gonna be still good. But I mean,
Well,
back when
that's
the
one game you're
servers,
better at me than Joe. I don't play Mario Kart. I haven't played it since well I
I
have, but I haven't been good at it since what Mario Kart was it Mario Kart
I
64?
I have Mario Kart 64, but see, I didn't have it back in the day. So I never learned how to like do the things that you need to do to actually be competitive. Like there's that like boost turning or something. There's some technique you do to like as you're like drifting to the side, like as you go around the corners. Like I
Well,
never learned how to
that's
do that.
it's natural now, but I don't know if it was back in
Yeah.
the day or not.
But so until I learn how to do that, like I'm never gonna be any good. Like
You
when we
know
do
what was
family,
better than
like
Mario
I'm always gonna
Kart?
be last.
Diddy
Last.
Kong Racing was better.
Oh man,
Uh, how about that?
put that in your pipe and smoke it, and, chase it with a glass of whiskey.
Right.
Yep. Um, yeah, but I do remember you'd be like, "Hey, let's play some Halo 3," and you get on the server, and immediately you're just getting dominated by some guy,
You never played
and it's
Diddy
like,
Kong? Oh,
"Oh man, no."
that's
Was that
sad.
was N64 or
Yeah. That
yeah?
one had like planes and well, like back when that was like natural, like it had like or not as natural because I think Mario Kart evolved into things like that. But
Yeah, Mario
it
Kart
had
started
like
on the
planes
Nintendo.
and motorcycles and you had the cart and stuff like that. But it also allowed you to free roam to different courses.
Oh,
So you'd
that's
start off
cool.
like on like this beach or something like that, and you go to like different stages, and then you do the race. So
Bohemian wants to do a raid in Warhammer Age of Reckoning. Oh man, it's gonna make you buy a game. Bohemius has gotten into the Warhammer MMO. It looks fun, but I'm those are always like the games that I'm like least likely to try because I don't like the subscription model, and I've watched people play them, and it just doesn't look that much fun to me. Granted, just about any
Bohemians,
game.
I've retired from MMOs after Old Republic.
Sorry,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I can't.
Most of those games, though, I mean, if I'm being real about it, like I'll play a mediocre game or a game that's like not a genre I like if it's with friends because I'll have fun because I'm playing with them as opposed to just playing it on my own or trying to like build a career in a game kind of thing.
It's free.
Ah, got him.
Yeah, but
Got him.
I
He just
have
doesn't wanna.
I
Doesn't
have so
wanna.
many problems with MMOs.
Yeah. Well, if it's free and it's just cosmetic skins,
I will play Darktide with you, or what's the one I have?
Ver- Vermintide. Vermintide.
Is it Vermintide? Hold on.
It's I think it's Vermintide or Vermintide
Check
2.
in,
Yeah, because
check in.
Bohemius likes Warhammer.
'Cause I
It's
have,
free.
yeah,
Whoa!
I've got Vermintide 2. I don't have
Hey,
Darktide yet.
Bohemius, he'll play that with you.
Yeah, I'll play that one with you because I don't think I beat it yet.
Joe was like, whoa. Oh man, I'm having flashbacks to us at Gen Con playing that Warhammer laser tag. We were so fired up and it was so disappointing. Like it was not worth the money. Whoa! They had us do this big cheer before we ran out and play into the dark arena and our guns didn't work.
Oh,
Which is
Watercon,
typical.
that is a lot. I've wasted too much money on Fortnite, but that is a lot, man.
Nine, wait, $9,000 invested in Fortnite? How's that possible?
That's a lot. Well, it's yeah. There's a lot of stuff in Fortnite, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe, so what we should have done, I wish we'd done this now. Like when the convention ended, we should have just found some like Chuck E. Cheese and just like taken over the place and played laser tag and had the time of our lives. And then we could have done like a video about it saying, like, man, best $7 I ever spent or whatever it was. Even for 14, it would have been great. I mean, but 22, no. Yeah. Yeah, laser tag is fun, but you gotta make sure you're at the right place. The the official Warhammer one was not what we were expecting at all. Yeah, what we should do next year is we should all buy or make Warhammer costumes, or like cosplay, and we should go to some like Chuck E. Cheese and just play, and we can put our GoPros on it and just like record that. Let's do it ourselves.
Oh man.
Bohemia says Warhammer Age of Reckoning is a private server of a game that closed years ago and is completely followed by fans. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. So it used to be a pay to play game, but fans are keeping it going. See, that's the kind of thing that I like to see. Pretty sure I could have 3D printed and used Raspberry Pis and come up with a better laser tag. Yeah. See, Ribby, you and your 3D printer, you're going to take us to the promised land. Hey, Wordicon. My kids are like little Sylvester with the paper bag on their heads. For shame, father, for shame. Oh man, I've been watching a lot of Looney Tunes, so I get that reference. I'll hold you to that challenge, Ribby. Oh, Joe's throwing it down. Well, did we have anything more to talk about with HeroQuest? I think we drifted far, far from that topic. Pretty
I
much
mean
said what I need to say.
that's fine. I'm all
I think,
set. Oh, Red Dead just released not too long or today. The first Red Dead Redemption is now on PC.
hey, about time.
It's
I can finally
official.
play it.
It only took them damn near 15 years.
Yep.
Oh.
Is that the game where they send out the Pinkertons?
Oh, it's the one I've been working on the PS3 for emulation and the Xbox.
What's
It's now
the what's
official.
the cowboy game where they send the Pinkertons? It's like the
That's
meme.
the second one.
Oh man. Ironically, the guy who designed that meme had Pinkertons show up at his house and they can take it down. I'm just kidding. Like, what? Are talking about video games? No, we're fine. I was just trying to backtrack for a second and go, did I say everything I was gonna say? Here's the part I forgot to say. So the Lucapaschi thing. Tentatively, we are going to do another interview with him on November 8th. So not this Friday, but next Friday. If you're watching this live, today is October 29th. So yeah, November 8th, I'm going to do another interview with Lucapaschi, and we may get into some more details.
Ooh.
We just scratched the surface, and we were talking about the Wizard Quest pack. We didn't really talk much about the Dwarf Quest pack. That's the one that was only 50% complete, according to the draft notes, and would require the most like gap filling and fan editing to make it work. Whereas the Wizard Quest pack was pretty much almost done. But my impression of the Dwarf pack was, wow, you thought the Frozen Horror was tough. This is like beat you over the head with, brutality. But I think when they were designing those packs, they had this idea that this is to challenge people who have like never lost, like people who think HeroQuest is too easy. You have thousands of gold, you have just suitcases full of potions. Like, we're going to send the toughest monsters after you, the most punishing traps, the most dastardly like plans, like, epic quests that take 4 hours to complete, that kind of stuff. And so it's not going to be for everyone. But the great thing about HeroQuest is it's easy to modify. I mean, I said that on the stream when we interviewed him, is you're going to get it as tight and as close to what you think it ought to be. But once you release it out there, people will do what they want with it. So some people will make it, easier, or it'll inspire them to create their own thing. It's all good. Yeah. And maybe this time we can get more people. Like, I kind of felt bad for the fact that we cut into some of our game time, so it was right ahead of our stream. I think what I'm going to end up doing is delaying our stream. So instead of us starting at 2:15, we'll probably start at 3. That way, our players aren't just sitting there waiting. Like, are we going to start the game, or are we going to keep talking to this guy? Like, it was interesting. It was cool to have him there, but just having just time set aside to say, okay, the interview is from this time to this time, and then the game is from this time to this time. So we're not one at the expense of the other. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And maybe he'll have more stuff to share, and we can ask him about that whole copyright thing, because I'm sure that's going to be a perennial hot topic. So Joe says Age of Empires just released for mobile over the weekend or last week sometime. The original Age of Empires, or is this a new Age of Empires?
I think it was the original, wasn't it?
See, I've got the first and the second game. I want to say that I had like a copy of from a friend like years ago, and then I bought it myself, and then I made a copy of that one. So like, I've got like copies in different places of the Age of Empires games, even though I was like not that big into them. But my brother's big into those type of games. He could tell you all about like Civilization and stuff. It's pretty cool. I mean, I kind of dabbled with those games, but I'm much more like arcade action. Like, as close as I would get would be like an RTS, like Warcraft 2 or Warcraft 3, or the original Warcraft, or like the Dune games. So, and I played a little bit. It was, I think, Red Alert, Command and Conquer 2. Like, I remember those games. Never played StarCraft though, surprisingly. And that was
Really?
like that was like the biggest game of that generation. I guess I'd kind of like moved away from the genre at that time, that was really getting big. But yeah, it's like people would just like talk my ear off about how awesome StarCraft was. I'm just like, meh. I was much more about yeah, arcade games, first person shooters.
Speaking of which, speaking of games, sorry, I'm trying to find the game The Suffering, which was uh, we were talking about delisted games earlier. Um, it just got The Suffering and its sequel both got delisted, and they are almost impossible to find, except for its PS2 counterpart.
Dang.
GOG tried to hold it, and I guess it got delisted off GOG too, which I don't know why. It was like a PS2 and Xbox game.
Did the sponsorship run out or the license?
No, it was a game made by Midway. That's what.
Huh.
See, this is what I'm telling you, man. Like,
Social media. Look, I am at the point. I mean, maybe I've got too much money saved, but like I'm to the point where I'm almost like I'm just gonna buy the arcade PCB and put it in like a vault, you know, and that
they've
way
got
I can
they've
always
got it on
just
download, but like I'm really I'm really worried it's like sketchy sites. So like
yeah, you
you
gotta be
can get
careful.
it legit from like the PS2 ROM, which I wouldn't mind, but like the PC version would be the better version to play because I don't want to have to use a controller. It's PC version, mouse and keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
But if that's gonna be the only way to play it, because I was gonna stream it, won't for
I
Halloween.
there are certain FPS games that I can play with a controller. Like I never thought I'd get to that point.
This is
Like
old school,
you-
bro. This is before Resident Evil 4 came out. So this is like a game that
oh, this is
you probably
third
don't want to play
person.
with a controller.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I'm just trying to think. So, like, Quake 3 Arena on the Xbox 360, super hard to control with a Xbox controller. Really hard. Like, I absolutely suck at it. But like the Call of Duty games are pretty easy with it. But you could say those are probably built with consoles in mind, as opposed to being converted over. I have the little adapters so that I can use a keyboard and mouse, but yeah, I mean, I did the same thing on my Dreamcast. I had the keyboard and the mouse so I could play Unreal Tournament or Quake 3 with the original controls.
Yeah, GOG said that as of last year, the publisher's request was that it was to leave their store.
Oh, see, why do you got to be like that, publisher?
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
That
well, arcades were so JoeKozier's talking about arcades. So yeah, arcades were dying as soon as the N64 hits store shelves. Sadly, they were losing money, and yeah, they just didn't have the gimmicks. Those things are so expensive; they got to be like you got to take out a loan to put Star Wars Battle Pod in your arcade or whatever. But yeah, I think there was this resurgence of like nostalgic like barcades. Like that was the big thing. And then you got people selling the arcade one-ups and everything, even though they're pretty crappy, but it's like, oh, $400 for a couple slabs of plywood and an emulation of a game. Kind of feels like an arcade, kind of. So there was this resurgence of interest in arcades. But yeah, then I'm just saying, well, with COVID, you had all these small businesses shuttering because they couldn't stay afloat, you know. And yeah, they've come and gone. There's Yeah, it's more likely that you'll see like one arcade machine. Like back in the day, we called those street locations. So like you go to the laundromat and you got one arcade machine there. You go to the local airport or the mall, and there's like one or two machines. Like okay, it's not a full arcade. But yeah, just back in the day when you just had like a whole building where it's dedicated just to video game machines, and it's not like that's so rare now because usually it's like half a casino or it's half a restaurant or something else. It's not video games, or like even Chuck E. Cheese, like it's other stuff like skee ball and claw machines instead of video games.
oh,
But yeah, it's like going to the movie theater. Yes, you can watch a movie at home, but I like the the experience of going there. A lot of it's nostalgia, yes. And you do pay a premium price for it. I mean, games nowadays are not 25 cents anymore. They're not even 50 cents. They're like $1.80, I think, where I go, and even that might be discounted. StarCraft, I hate that game because I stink at it. But that was the game that united me with the great HeroQuest group 23 years ago. Oh, interesting. Interesting story, Bohemius. Yeah, it's about the friends you met along the way. That was the real Hero Quest.
Yep.
I think we have two other smaller arcades, says Joe. They do this thing where you buy a pass for the day. That's cool. Free play all the machines. Lets you leave and come back in the same day. I like that. I like that. Yeah, the places I'm used to, they give you a card and you put $10 on the card and then you can recharge the card. But you're basically just swiping a fake credit card every time you play. And they'll usually have like one or two like really big brand new games, and then the rest of the games are kind of like older. A lot of them they just look like MAME cabinets. Like it seriously just looks like somebody built it, and it's got like 100 games from the 80s on it, but it's like on an LED screen instead of a CRT, so the graphics look weird. And sometimes they give you the wrong controls, so it's like an 8-way joystick and it's supposed to be a 4-way joystick. So you're like, I can't get Pac-Man to go around the corner. Like, what is this crap? Old man yelling at the screen. It's like, oh well, he keeps to himself mostly. Not hard. He's not scaring away the customers, so it's okay.
He's
Yeah, Dave and Buster's.
She's punching the machine. He's gotta go. Get him out of here.
Yep. Oh man, does anybody? I don't know. If there's anybody as old as me or older listening to this, but I remember in the one of the first arcades that I have memory of as a kid, they had this arm wrestling machine. It wasn't a video game. It was a physical like hydraulic machine, and it was like this. He looked like this mask wrestler. It was like formed out of plastic. Like it looked like a mannequin of a wrestler, and he was like wrestling this other guy. Like he had one guy in a headlock, and then he had his arm out, and the arm was like a robot mechanism, and you were supposed to grab the guy's arm, and you put the dollar in or whatever, and you would arm wrestle him. But I think it was always out of order, so I never knew like what it actually did. Did it like actually like push your arm down, or was it just test of strength kind of thing? I was always curious about it. I wonder now if something like that exists somewhere. It's just like Tom Hanks going down to the dock to look at the Zoltan. It's probably broken. Those things are probably, people probably just smashed them up, but it'd be kind of cool. I almost broke my wrist on that damn thing. Oh, so Joe, you remember it. Well, see, I want to say that the one that they had too, it was up against the wall. So if you were a kid, you could like brace your legs up against the wall and like throw your whole body into it to like push the guy's arm down. I don't know if it would work though. I didn't want to try it because the machine was off. Like, I'm just gonna break this thing and get kicked out. Should try it out. Kind of test the strength. Well, I
Just
know they have
totally
those other.
fucking like destroys
Yeah.
it.
Well, they do have those machines where it's just a boxing. It's a pad. It's a punch pad that's on a like a metal dowel, and you're supposed to just punch it, and then it like flips up into the machine, and then it
Oh
tells you,
yeah,
how strong your punch was.
they still have
And
those.
in Yeah, and in the way old days, it was you get the hammer and you hit the little thing on the ground, and then the hockey puck like goes up to the top to it's like wuss, wimp, complete, old Giga Chad at the top, alpha
Giga
male.
Giga Chad.
Yep, Giga Chad, Sigma Chad. Yeah, that would be the modern version. But yeah, it's just like all the ranks. It's like you have to hit it so hard that you're like the greatest, manliest, like freak that ever lived. The strongman test, yeah. Well, there was another one that they had, and these are all ones that like I never paid money for because I thought I don't understand this. I want to play Pac-Man. I want to play Donkey Kong. But it was like the love test. Like you were supposed to like squeeze the. It was just like this bar. You had to squeeze it really hard, and it would say like Lover Boy, like Romeo. Like it would. I don't know if it was your grip or like the electricity coming off of your hands. But yeah, the same kind of thing. Nowadays, I'd be worried that that's gonna like steal my credit card number or something if I touch it, steal my identity. But now the gimmick is, well, a lot of these arcades that I do see, they have Mario Kart, and it's super fun because it's like the four machines network together. And you don't have to worry about all these weird boosting things. It's just like you're just driving an arcade car. It's great. But they have the little a webcam so you can like take a picture of yourself, and it puts fake like Mario mustache on you, and then it puts you on the scoreboard. Yeah, grip strength. Oh, and the heat of your hand. Yeah. Some of them have Guitar
Guitar
Hero.
Hero.
I've never seen a working Guitar Hero. Oh no, it's called the Guitar Freaks. That's what it is. Because I think Konami had the rights to the arcade versions of these. So you had DDR, you had
They
Guitar
had gu-
Freaks,
they had Guitar Hero
Beatmania.
arcade.
They did? Okay, well
Like
maybe they did.
legit. They used to have them in like, well, over around where I lived, in like the big mega mall with like the movie theater in it. They had it in the
Mhm.
movie theater side. I don't know if they still do because it's not a popular thing anymore. But they used to have
Yeah.
Guitar Hero arcade, and it was Guitar Hero. I used to, me and a friend of mine from way back in the day, we'd go over there, or like the girl I dated before I met my wife. That's how old it was. We'd go and play that before we'd go watch a movie.
That's cool.
That's
Well,
uh
I,
that's
I
like
want
what,
to say
2010, 2011.
yeah. So I guess it kind of makes sense. So if you had an official Guitar Hero or Rock Band like version, um, but yeah, there was a lot of those rhythm games. It was just I think the earliest ones you were just smacking buttons. So there was like, but then there was one that was a keyboard. There was one that was a DJ turntable. There was one that was a guitar. There was a drum set. I don't know if they ever did Karaoke Hero in arcades. That'd be kind of cool just to hear somebody like wailing on it, trying to sing. I mean, of course, karaoke itself is an old mainstay of like bars and stuff. But yeah, the game where it's like just timing based, it's just always the same idea, like hit the button now, hit the button now, and get it perfect. But yeah,
I
those are the kind of things that were fun to see.
have a VR version of Guitar Hero, kind of. It's called Rock Legends.
Air guitar,
Allows you to do guitar and drums.
nice. That'll be a stream. Bohemia says, yes, we had this good friend that was working in a bowling alley plus LAN internet cafe plus arcade. After the place closed for the night, we stay there all night long. Oh man, internet cafes, cyber cafes. Anybody remember those? That
We
was
didn't
never
have any
something that
around here.
yeah, we didn't have them either. I would just go like the library and surf the web, before we had internet at home, high speed internet. But yeah, cyber cafes, you get your coffee, you sit there and get on Usenet and flame somebody for a couple hours and check
The
your stocks and then go home.
HughesNet.
Usenet, yeah, that was the thing back in the day. I didn't
Yeah.
use it, but I knew it had existed.
They
News
still
groups and
have it,
everything.
and it's awful. Don't ever get HughesNet. Satellite internet's awful. Don't do that.
Netscape, Whack-A-Mole. Whack-A-Mole. I remember Whack-A-Mole. Yeah. The one that we had, they were like little devils that would pop up and they're like, hee hee hee. And you're like, smack them really hard and they just go down. You feel like you're going to break the machine, but what a stress reliever. And that mallet that you used, that thing was just beat to hell. It was falling apart. You're just like, ah, web crawler. Yeah. Netscape Navigator was my favorite back in the day. That's back when Internet Explorer was like terrible, but it worked great with Microsoft websites. Some websites would only work if you had Internet Explorer. Like everywhere else, they would just have like glitches. So I remember one time, like I think to get on the Internet Gaming Zone, I would load up Internet Explorer just to get on the zone, just to play Jedi Knight. When I ran out of players on the regular Jedi board, like I would go, oh man, I got to go to the zone if I want to keep playing.
Oh
That's
man.
how addicted to that game I was. So I get on there and everyone's like, woo, being stupid. And then you're like, okay, finally we can get a game going. Like, gotta get my fix. My hands are twitching. Back when I had a GeoCities webpage. Man, GeoCities, Angel Fire, join the web ring, all that stuff. All that Internet 1.0 stuff. That was the deal. That was when the World Wide Web was first becoming mainstream. But yeah, I remember getting on BBSs and IRC and that crap. But I was never like there were people that were way ahead of me. Like it was almost like a decade of time, like from the earliest adopters in the civilian world to yeah, when we would get on like Prodigy or America Online or whatever it was. America Online was mostly like you'd get the discs in the mail. You'd say, "Oh, I want a free AOL disc," and they send it to you, and then you just erase it and use it for your own data. Until they came out with CDs, and then you couldn't do that. So then you'd use the CDs as like
Or
decorations.
you just hoard
Yeah.
those free week trial internet and you'd
Well,
use them all.
you could use them. Yeah, it's like 80 free minutes, 90 free minutes, 5 free minutes. You like put them all together.
And you just use them.
Yep. It's like when Redbox. Does anybody remember Redbox? Where you get the free codes for a DVD rental, like one night rental. So
I don't
instead
think
of
I
$1, you get free.
ever used. I think I knew people who used it. I never used
Yeah.
Redbox.
Originally, it was like $1 per night to rent a DVD, just in a plain container, and you could just return it to any of those kiosks. But they had free codes that you could get, like in the ads for the newspaper or whatever, or you could find them online. So I would collect those codes, and I was remembering, like, I don't know how many rentals I got for free, probably like 20 or something. And I finally got a code that didn't work, and I made the mistake of calling their customer service and saying this code doesn't work. And the guy was like, "Okay, let me look you up." He's like, "You've gotten like tons of free stuff. We're not going to help you with this." I was like, "What?" It's like, dang it. But then I realized, oh, okay, I guess I did get a lot of free stuff.
Wow. Taking
Yeah,
advantage.
yeah, man. I think there was maybe like once, or I think I only spent like $2 total, because there was like a time where it was like I was supposed to return the movie by midnight, and it was like 11:30. I'm like, I'm too tired to finish this movie. I don't want it. Like, I'll just pay the dollar. So I paid the dollar.
I knew people who just like never returned them.
Well, that was the thing. You could keep them, but after 30 days, they would send you a bill for the price of the DVD. Of course, if you didn't pay it, I guess, I don't know, would they take you to small claims court or send a collection
Nope.
agency after you?
I don't know because I never did that,
Well,
but I knew
you
people
go into
like
hiding in the country.
I was about to say I knew people who never like. Let's just say
Yeah,
this: I knew people like back on like where I used to live on my side of town who
stole them.
didn't have their address, like didn't have phones, stuff like that. Like
Just
so, really hard
disappear.
to. Yeah, I don't know
So
if
good.
like because you usually have to mark your mail down, but like I don't know, they just never paid for them. So
Oh,
and they
yeah.
would keep
Well, but
them and
they might have
but
just stolen them basically. But yeah, the deal with Redbox was you pay $1 per night. You can keep it as long as you want to, but if you keep it for 30 days, they just charge you the price of the DVD and you can keep it. I mean, so yeah, so you probably end up paying like you're paying more. You could have just gone to Walmart and bought it, but I mean, you really like the movie, like fine, just you don't have to return it. Nowadays, I just get stuff from the library, but after our last couple rant casts, I have been thinking more about it. I've been just on a buying spree of like movies that I like. Like I tracked
mm,
down Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and
trying to
National Lampoon's.
preserve.
Yeah, because it's like, well, I mean, you think your local library will keep that stuff forever, but maybe not. It breaks down. That they don't replace it. They don't have a way to do it. So yeah, then it's gone. So I
Okay,
mean, there's a lot of
when I can't find it,
yeah,
I'll ask you for.
yeah,
Can I borrow
yeah.
your
You can
copy
get
of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
yep. It's your Walter Cronkite mood ring. They're very light because they're filled with helium. Yeah, man.
Well, I hate to say it, but that was enough for my topic. I don't really have too much on the docket, so um,
Oh, can I? We gotta. Joe Kosher is on a nostalgia spree, and I'm right there with him. He says initially we had AOL, and I was in a text game that we typed in commands similar to how we roll dice on Discord. Yeah, see, it's always a throwback for combat or whatever. We used to rent so many movies that most of the time we never got around to watching them all. Oh man, I've been there too, and I still do that. I'll go to the library and I'll check out like 20, whatever the maximum I'm allowed to. Actually, I don't think it's 20. It's like 10. I'll check out 10 movies and I'll be like, yes. And I'll like watch like 2 movies like right away when I get home. And then I'm just like burned out and I don't watch them. And then it's like, okay, 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh man, I'm going to try to watch these, but I can't binge watch stuff anymore. So I'll end up having to return like all of them, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to wait 3 weeks because somebody else wants them, but it's still on my list to watch. So like, there's season 1 of Inuyasha. I've rented that like 5 times, and I've never watched it. So that's how silly I am. But I mean, it's in my queue, so it's like it's available. I'm like, am I really gonna watch it this time? I might get to it, but it's never first on my list. So maybe I just don't want to watch it that much. So many late fees that we'd have cheaper just to buy it. Well, we were pretty good about we would always rewind the Blockbuster tapes. We'd always return them on time. It's when I was off on my own that I would sometimes forget. And it's like, dang it, now I got to pay the fine. That sucks. And the local library, they don't charge you that much. I mean, the area that I'm in, the library that I go to, it's like you can get it for 3 weeks, and if nobody requests it, you can renew it twice. So 9 weeks for a movie. If you haven't watched it by then, well, oh well. But like, the fines are like 50 cents a day, sometimes $1 a day. But sometimes, like, if you return it like within 24 hours, they just don't even charge you. It's like, that's a pretty good deal. Like, my taxes are already paying for this, so why not? And only a couple times have I gotten a disc where it was like so scratched that it wouldn't play. I've cleaned some discs myself because I've got one of those like mini resurfacers, not the big fancy ones, but the smaller ones. But I swear there was some guy that was like putting the discs like in his armpits or like up his ass or something, because like, you take it out of the
What?
disc, it's like, why does this smell like sweat? Like, you open up the DVD case and you just smell like body odor. It's like, what the hell? It's not weird. Like, I better wash my hands, like, and fumigate the room. I'm just gonna send a note and say, did somebody like sit on this or something? Like, put it in their sweaty gym bag for a week? Like, what happened? But there was only a couple movies like that. So I enjoyed Logan's Run, but somebody was really sweaty and stinky.
Oh,
Used to check out CDs from the library, but now I don't have a CD player in my truck. Yeah, I remember doing that. You could rent CDs. Be kind, rewind. Oh yeah, and when they first got DVDs at Blockbuster, they still kept putting the Be Kind, rewind stickers on them, and people are like, "You don't rewind the like, you don't have to
well,
rewind the DVD." They sold novelty DVD rewinders as well.
that's weird.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was actually a scam, like they were actually trying to fool people, or if it was just a joke, like it's a
You
gag
never
joke.
know with those sort of things.
Because they did have the tape rewinders, and I always thought, like, Blockbuster would have them so that they could rewind the stuff really fast. Like, they would sell those claiming that, oh, it's safer, like it rewinds it at a certain speed so that it won't stretch the tape like your VCR will. I don't know if that was true or not. But I always thought, oh, you get one and it's battery powered, so you can be watching the movie up until like the minute it's due, and then you just leap into the car and you're rewinding it as you're driving so that you
I
can
uh
return, not pay the fine.
I remember the first time with those DVD commercials. It was I had a tape for Small Soldiers, I think it was, when I was a kid.
Oh, I remember that movie. Yeah.
And the preview would always pop up for the DVD player, and
Hmm.
it was like this family that was going to get ready to sit down, and like the typical modern family of like the late 90s, sitting down with their bowl of popcorn, and they'd hit the remote, and the freaking picture would come up and blast them, and like the hair would fly back, popcorn bowl go all over the place. Experience the picture quality and sound of DVD. It
Digital first disc.
Yeah, dude, it was it was hilarious. Like
Oh man.
those types of like commercials were just
Yeah. Well,
eccentric.
that's what the old was it Maxell, but it was some audio brand, but they would like the guy would sit in his chair and like he would put his seatbelt on
Oh,
because like
Trent
his
Reznor?
hair is blown back and he gets blown back. Yeah, I think that was in that
It was based off
music
Trent
video.
Reznor, I think, right?
Could be.
Hold on.
But yeah, the idea of speakers blowing you away because it was so real. They did that in Back to the Future as well. Turns the
This
bass
is
up so high.
DVD. I thought it was the no. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can
Because
find it.
Laserdisc just failed to capture the market share that DVD did. But I mean, HD DVD, it was like the look and sound of perfect.
Man, they had one all the way back in '96. I didn't think DVD wasn't DVD like a big thing in the
Yeah,
late '90s. I
yeah,
guess it was more of
yeah.
a like a rich person
We
thing
had
back then, huh?
we had CDs in the '80s, laser discs in the '70s, DVD in the '90s, late '90s. Yeah, '96. Yeah, because I think the first DVDs I ever bought were like 90, 99. I want to say The Matrix might have been the first one I saw. I'm trying to think what the first one I bought though. It might have been Highlander actually. Like I bought it before I even had a player, and I went to like my school had a section of the library where there were like DVD players that you could just sit there with the headphones on, and I like put my movie in, and I'm like, yes. But the screen they gave you was so tiny, I couldn't really tell.
Yes.
That was a cheap bargain basement DVD as well.
Oh man,
Like
I am feeling it.
first DVD was Zoolander. Could do Blue Steel,
Here you go. Are you ready?
Orange Frappa Mochaccino.
This is
Oh,
DVD.
here it is. No copyright. Audio
And
Jungle.
this
This
is what happens when you
Oh,
watch
yeah.
DVD. It's a movie on a disc the size of a CD.
Man,
The
you're
picture
getting
is
like
twice as sharp as VHS.
And then twice as sharp as VHS. Boom.
they were right. Yeah. Now you needed a better TV to actually appreciate the difference. But yeah, I remember putting DVDs in on my CRT and going, "Wow, there's just so much. It's
Oh man,
so sharp."
but that's the thing that people are missing nowadays is just the we got lied to back then, but we got lied to in like a we got oversold in I think a very cheesy and good way because like my parents fell for that stuff so easy because we had like a box TV. Yeah, we had a bigger TV in the living room, but it was still you know like it wasn't like a big projection TV. My
Oh
grandfather
man,
had one of those. He had like a
yeah.
really big one, but um, we had like a maybe a 43-inch in the living room, and like it was probably no better resolution than the other TVs we had in the bedrooms, like the 20-inch or whatever.
Because
And
the more you blow it up, then you got to add the lines of resolution because
well,
otherwise it
yeah,
looks blurry.
so
Blurry.
like I think probably 480p was probably the big one, and
Yeah.
like you put in that DVD and like they had the widescreen stuff that they have a widescreen version and stuff. And my mom was like, "Look at this picture. Look at this picture, babe. It's so great." She'd like talk to, she'd be talking. My parents would be talking to each other. Look at this picture, babe. It looks so good. Oh, the sound quality just blows my mind. And it's just like those commercials, man, had you sold.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it
for
was
sure.
probably better than certain VHS because like with VHS, you had this, you had
It
certain
would
issues with
degrade.
VHS. Yeah,
It would degrade,
like I
and
didn't notice
especially if
it,
you're
and I treated my Batman videotapes like garbage. So like,
a lot of kids did.
but
Yeah.
like, yeah, I didn't notice too much, but like, yeah,
My family
DVD
was
was
we were late adopters, so a lot of stuff. So I mean, we had a lot of like the cheap VHS tapes that you'd buy at the store for like dollars, and yeah, it'd be like public domain movies and like old cartoons, and it was fine, but you could tell that there was some degradation. Now a lot of those early DVDs, they didn't do much to restore the movies, so it didn't seem like much. But yeah, once they actually started like doing that, it was like, wow, this looks awesome.
yeah.
So yeah, when The Matrix came out, it was one of the biggest. It's probably the biggest selling DVD that year, probably for a while. It's at some sales record, but I mean, it
A
looked incredible.
46-inch TV that was deeper than the screen size. I think it was probably 50 pounds. Yeah, dude, those TVs made you gain muscle. Especially this, like I said, I had my grandfather had
Yeah.
a projection screen, There's a was it a Vizio or is a
You
no
Zenith,
no, it was a
or
Zenith. Yeah, it was a Zenith. It was a Zenith,
or a big
and
brand.
he had that TV forever, and then gave it to my aunt. I had to help my aunt when I lived with her move it up 4 flights of stairs into their apartment.
Yeah,
And dude, that thing had to have been like 60, 70 pounds, maybe more than that,
I
100
had the
some odd.
system
Like
down
it was so heavy. It
pat.
took like 2, 3 people to lift, like to get it up those
Yeah,
stairs.
safely. Yeah, the TVs that I had, because I had a couple over the years, but it's like I had it down pat. Like I would brace it against my hips and my stomach, and I'd have like there were these little grooves that you could put your hands into, and so just I was just like holding it, back straight. It's like okay, I can waddle up the stairs, down the stairs with this thing, not drop it. But yeah, once the switch to HD, like remember when they did the digital conversion? Is that like 2008? So a lot of people at that time just finally upgraded to high def, and a lot of people were just throwing away their CRTs. And like I didn't dumpster dive, but I mean people would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just getting rid of this." I'm like, "Hey, I'll take it off your hands." Okay, here you go. So I had like a couple free TVs. Now some of them were on the last leg, so I ended up throwing them away, but I've still got a few of those TVs. So I'm ready for retro games anytime I want to. I've got a few copies of like I've converted over my VHS. So some of those were never released on DVD, and it's like if I watch those, I watch them on a CRT, so it looks the way it did, as opposed to like highlighting all those flaws with a high resolution.
Right.
So that's how crazy I am.
Well,
Old tech.
we're almost at the third hour, man, and I'm starting to die. It's really funny because usually I hold up, you
Yep.
don't, but I'm 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 dying out here.
The person that's
So
talking is the one that gets the energy boost. But it's they've got the heat jacked up in my building, so it's like I'm constantly having to like chew gum or like drink pop to like keep my throat
well,
moist
that and
moist
I haven't had anything to. I was very unprepared for this for some reason. I
moist
didn't.
drizzle.
My
Well,
coffee's out. I have anything to drink, and I've got
that's
to go
what
to
you,
the bathroom. I'm all sorts
that's,
of.
that's what you get on the RantCast. Yeah, I was trying to think of you know something on the HeroQuest fan stream. Like after a while, we're gonna have some people with like tens of thousands of gold coins that have nothing to spend it on. So I was trying to think of like big ticket items. Like on your stream, you've got how many bus tokens do you have to get for you to read the Star Wars chronology? Is it like
Oh man,
10,000 or
I
something?
don't. Yeah, I think
Like
I can't
5,000?
remember. I think it's 5,000. I can't remember. It's a big
Yeah.
amount. Yeah.
I was trying to think of stuff, and I thought, well, I maybe it would be just like doing the voice impressions. Like you got to talk like
Instant
Macho
win.
Man or
Instant
Christopher
win.
Walken for 10 minutes or 5 minutes.
Skip level. Loot box. Loot
Yeah.
box
Pay
items.
to win.
Pay to win.
No, don't do it. I'll never turn to the dark side. I think I have 1K. Well, that's the thing. We've started to get regulars. So we get Bohemius comes in a lot, Jacer, Glasgow, Ribby. Um, Joe's been with us a few times, but I mean, some people like show up practically every week, and it's like, so you're playing as a hero. That means you're not spending gold. That means you're building up gold. That means once you are in the audience, you will be like the emperor. You could just order anything.
I mean,
So
that's
I'm
kind
gonna
of
have
like
to come up
me
with
too. I have like a
come
crap
up.
ton of coins. So
I mean, I could raise the prices, but then like I'd be shutting out all the people who just want to, just
I
come in
don't think
and
that's
do
a bad
something.
idea, Kurgan. I think raising the prices would probably be good because, like, at first it was to help bring new players in. I think
Yeah,
it's good to have an audience base, but like, also you don't want people spamming that all the time. So I think finding a good balance. Don't make it super overpriced, but let's like you're gonna
yeah.
get people that regularly visit that stream that have 30,000 coins, and like maybe
But like
having it
order.
set up to where I have a cooldown, or maybe you can only
Yeah,
use it a certain amount of
yeah.
times per stream.
That's true.
Like you can do
That's
that.
true. like Wordicon, he is the he's like the potion guy. Like he'll come in and he'll like buy potions for everybody or get equipment for everybody. It's like, oh, he's here. Is he on our? Is he in a good mood? Is he on our side? Okay, we're gonna. It's great. I like it. Yeah. Well, originally I think I had the prices too high, so yeah, people weren't buying stuff, or they were just having to wait hours to get one thing. So yeah, I lowered it way down, and I've raised it a little bit, but yeah, I do want people who have just tons of gold saved to be able to have something fun to do. So maybe I'll put in some celebrity impressions. You might have Christopher Walken or Arnold Schwarzenegger narrating for a while.
Do Sean Connery. Your Connery's really good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Sean Connery, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Christopher Walken. Maybe I can't do a very good Ric Flair. I can do the woo, but not the way his voice is. It's kind of weird, kind of hard
This
to
is
do.
Ric Flair, and you're listening to the RantCast.
Whoa. Yeah, because there's like younger Ric Flair, and then there's like old Ric Flair. They have very distinctive. Yeah, it's like he's half drunk. He's fighting off a heart attack, and he's just like fired up.
Oh, you want bulgy eye?
Yeah,
Yeah.
veins popping out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Wow. Yeah, like he's about to have a stroke. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that guy's intense. Yeah.
Rick's coming back to the ring. He's only 90 years old. He's gonna do his
Yep.
famous woo. No, don't. He can't take it. I'm
Yeah.
coming back. Whoa.
Yeah. You have to defibrillate him, and then he does it
He, like,
again. They wheel him out.
Stops mid woo, falls down.
Oh man! Salute to that guy. What a legend.
What a legend.
Yeah.
It's too bad the legend killer wasn't around.
Oh yeah.
Give you the RKO out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Yeah, sneaking up. The voices in his head told him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. Yeah, Jacer has to have thousands for all the games he's been in and can't spend since he's a player. Yeah, right. Exactly.
All right. I am
All right.
calling it, guys.
RantCast out.
Yeah.
So if we don't
good
see ya,
RantCast
happy
making.
Halloween. Don't tell the Great Pumpkin I said any of this stuff that's on the stream about him.
Right.
Don't
if you have kids and they're still trick or treating, make sure to be safe.
check all their candy.
Stay safe in both areas. Both weather-wise and yes, with the candy. Hope everybody has a great night. Thank you for listening to everybody who's been with us live.
Joe's comment. Don't take candy from strangers.
I mean, that's good. That's good advice. I am pretty strange, and I kind of live out in the prairie. So if you're trick or treating at my door, it's kind of weird.
Do you have a leather face mask that you put on? No, just kidding.
No, I just might. Never mind. If it's the middle of the night,
like the scary guy.
Just
old man strange.
Yep.
Hold up in his hovel on the end of the street. No one ever comes in, and no one ever comes out.
Throw my paper at you, or I'll take your bag and pull Angry Video Game Nerd. I'll just shit in it and give it back to you.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's just chocolate sauce.
Just chocolate sauce.
Yeah.
Enjoy the chocolate sauce.
Bohemius still wants to do some type of orc raid, I think.
Well, we'll see. But I will see and give you a response, Bohemius. But tonight I'm probably gonna go to bed. I'm super tired.
Sorry, Bohemius. I'm tired too. It sounds like a great idea. I think if it was any other night, just yeah, let's do it.
But anyway, I am Josh, once again, also known as the Strange Bus, and you can catch me probably tomorrow night at twitch.tv/thestrangebus. Because I'm a little disappointed I can't play The Suffering. That used to be one of my favorite Halloween games, and now it's gone forever.
Suck.
And I'm joined by Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest Fans, and you can catch him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. That's twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. Also on YouTube as XSC3, home of HeroQuest Fans. Thank you for joining me and Kurgan, everybody, on this RantCast. We'll catch you next Tuesday. Have a good night, everybody. Happy Halloween.
Good night. RantCast. Yeah.
Stay tuned for Raid, everybody.